How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
is the end. There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final scene. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final scene of
All right, everyone, we're back. We are back for a spy stream type of night. If you've never been to a spy stream before, you are in for a treat. We are doing our first of 2 consecutive days of spy streaming because the far left is organizing. Trump has won the election. And now the far left is getting together and they're like, what are we going to do about this? Now, I think that the far left are going to shift basically their entire messaging strategy, which was focused on Palestine up until like 2 days ago. And now we're going to have a good old-fashioned revival. We're going to have a good old-fashioned Antifa revival. I'm positive of this. We're already seeing the left protest in cities like Chicago and Philadelphia. This is an organized event that we're going to be watching tonight by the Working Families Party. That is a socialist organization that does elect real socialists in places like Philadelphia and New Jersey. We are going to be watching tomorrow the Party for Socialism and Liberation and the People's Forum talking about why the Democrats failed, how Trump won, what is to be done. Guys, what we are going to be seeing, and I agree, Chris, I'm kind of tired of Palestine too, so I'm glad we're going back to our roots. I'm glad that the far left is going to be transitioning away from Palestine because they talked about Palestine all the effing time. What exactly do I wish? We're evaluating your IQ right now. What exactly do I wish? Let us know in the chat. If you don't let us know, you're going to be banned. So, I think we are about to see a revival of the greatest hits from the first Trump administration. I think we're about to see a lot of presentations about fascism, stopping the far right, yada, yada, yada. I think Antifa's going to be back in full swing. With any luck, we're going to get another Chaz. I would love for there to be another Chaz. We need some good old-fashioned entertainment. We've been dealing with Palestinian nonsense for a year. And listen, I won't say like I mean, one of the things that's been frustrating about the Palestine thing is we actually, most of us, generally agree with the left on this. Maybe not everyone. But generally speaking, the left is actually kind of like on point with some of their Palestinian messaging. And it just makes it a little bit more difficult to hate them because it's like a broken clock is right twice a day. And they happen to pick an issue that does work for them, that does recruit for them. But it's like, it is painful to like watch their stuff and be like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. That's not a good thing. But on the whole anti-fascist stuff, on the anti-Trump stuff, we are on opposite teams, and I think that's going to be glorious. And so tonight we are going to be watching this presentation. It is the making meaning of the moment post-election mass call. Donald Trump will be returning to the White House in 2025. It's up to us to build a movement that will fight for each other for the next 4 years. Join members of 200 progressive organizations. And the reason we're doing this as a public spy stream, guys, is because they're doing this live on YouTube. They're literally live on YouTube right now. So we're going to be tuning into that in just a moment. They're live right now. I just want to remind everyone, we are watching a live training. We do not know what they're going to say. We do not know what they're going to do. We don't know if this is going to be boring. We don't know if it's going to be entertaining. We don't know because this is live. Number two, I will not do commentary over the training, although I may chat in my thoughts because we do actually want to listen to the training. I would encourage other people to chat in their thoughts. I will be displaying stuff on the screen if it is a good opportune time to do so. Number three, if you would like to send in a super chat, I would greatly appreciate it. I will acknowledge your super chat, but I will not do it until the very end because, again, we are listening to the training as it is taking place live. And let's just jump right into it. They've got a good live. They've got 13,000 people watching their training, guys. This is a YouTube channel with 2,500 subscribers. 14,000 people watching their training. This is real. This is legit. Now, this organization tends to be more progressive than they do socialist, if I'm honest about it. So we do need to keep that in mind. This is not the furthest of the far left. This is more of a progressive organization, but look at those numbers. 15,000 people watching this. I can't even get a couple hundred people on my channel to watch it with me. They've got 15,000 people. We're just waiting for them to get started. I think they're playing music. We'll turn the music down a little bit. Look at all the people in their chat. Oh, bots in their chat. Listen, I don't care if you guys go over to their chat. I don't care. Well, we've been a little busy. We've been a little busy, T-Bone Man. A little busy. Hope you're doing well. Those shots were a mistake, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. Mistakes were made. We're moving on. We're just waiting for them to get started, guys. Should be getting started pretty quick here. As a reminder, guys, while we're waiting, head over to the Unwoke Art store. That is unwokeart.com. Get some merch. All right, we're starting.
Everyone, we're coming together with our grief and desire for liberty and justice for all of us. Protect one another and hear from leaders about what organizations are calling us to do next in this time. We're going to get started with our program in just a moment. There are literally tens of thousands of you tuning into this live stream, and this call is being sponsored by hundreds of organizations around the country. If Donald Trump and his MAGA loyalists wanted us to come into this next phase of the struggle disoriented and without a plan, the sheer numbers of people here and the mobilizing power it represents says something different. We are committed to sharing information and practicing solidarity. Our ancestors walked the freedom road before us, and they did not give up despite the despair and the impossibilities of the conditions that they had to survive. Our presence is evidence of the success of their resistance and their liberatory work. Many did not have the luxury of giving up, and we don't have that luxury either. Again, I want to welcome all of you to this call tonight. My name is Ashley Woodard Henderson, and I'm with the Working Families Party. If you've been joining the mass calls that we've been organizing since April, you already know me. But if we're just meeting for the first time tonight, I want to welcome you. Like all of you, I desperately wish that we were gathering under different circumstances, but know that this call for many of us is going to be a balm, an opportunity to grieve and to refocus tonight. Over the last several months, these mass calls have been a chance for people in our movements to get together, to process both the emotions and the strategic dilemmas that this roller coaster of an election year has presented to us. We planned this call a long while back, knowing that we would need a rallying point to check in on what our next moves were going to be. The flow of this call for folks that are familiar is going to be similar to the others in that we're going to start getting emotionally grounded. We're going to feel our grief. We're going to feel our rage. We're going to feel our sadness, all the feeling. But we're also going to push ourselves to move into a clearer emotional space. This is essential because if we're not grounded, if we're caught in the swirl and the chaos, we're not going to be able to make good strategic decisions or to help those around us get grounded and stay clear about the work that is responsible to us ahead of us. Then after that, we'll do some political education about what this moment we find ourselves in means.
No.
We don't do this
No,
as a luxury.
Not true.
We do it as a strategic necessity because when we're aligned around the bigger strategy, we're able to take coordinated actions together. Then you're going to hear from some of the most trusted movement leaders in this country. They're going to share with you strategic insights and provide concrete calls to action for what you and your organizations, what you and your communities can do to get and stay in formation as we launch into this next phase of our organizing. Y'all, we've got live captioning for folks who need or want it. If you're tuning in on the live stream, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. Say hey in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, welcome. Do the same. If you're watching on Free Speech TV, welcome. And if you're watching the recording later, we love you. Thank you. And if you're tuning in through a space with a chat, feel free to say hey to one another.
Hey,
be
bro.
gracious. Show
We
each
don't
other
own
some
the libs
love.
here. This
And
is not
if
helpful.
you're
Sit
on
back
the
and learn
internet
something,
and
please.
people are being disrespectful, stay focused on the good work that we're
We do
doing
not
here
own the
together tonight.
libs.
Love each
We don't
other.
do that.
Make
It's
sure we're
distracting.
amplifying the love that's being shared in these trying times. This call is about bringing us together, not splintering under the stress and chaos of these times. Y'all, nothing about this entire election has come easy.
37,000
Now we're in the
people
hardest
watching
part of all of it. Yet we stuck together best as we could through everything, even with the temptation of straining and fracturing under the tensions and contradictions of this election. Thousands, not really even millions of us held together.
this. No, they
It's
wouldn't
not
have.
been a journey
No,
without its
I've already
bumps.
answered this question.
But
I
at
don't want to have to
every
answer it a
step
third
of
time.
the way, when we
No.
could have backed away, when we could have gone to our
They did not do
corners
this
and
when Biden
gossiped
was
or
elected.
openly fought each other with no win for anybody, we chose the path of principled struggle. Many of us came out the other end even clearer, more committed to the practice of unity and solidarity and an unwavering desire to be stronger
socialist.
together. Let me say that again, because in the pain of this loss and the anxiety of where we are, what we might feel
Do not
coming
ask
in
me
our
anything
bones, we may
unrelated to the
feel
stream. Pay attention.
like what I just said was wrong. So let me just give it to you one more time, a little clearer. Our movements have an opportunity right now to be more clear, more unified, and stronger than before. Over the last year, we may have frayed around the edges, but our core has held together. So even though we're all arriving hurting a lot right now, let's also take a moment to appreciate what we did. When an election is said and done, it's super easy to count up our electoral wins and our losses on a tally sheet. But the work to prevent this fracturing, to hold our people and our movements together through the lowest of lows and the highest of highs this year, that should be on our tally sheet too. There's certainly more to do to heal what's been pulling us apart from one another. And we must visibilize the product of countless hours of invisible emotional labor. It is the product of hours of gritty determination, principled debate, and strategic clarity. When they write the histories of these moments, they rarely see this work and the people who do it. But I see you. I see you. I see the thousands of you on this call, and I know the vast majority of you left every single thing on the field for this election. I want to invite you, just for a second, to, in your mind's eye, see each other. Wherever you may be watching this live stream, I invite you to close your eyes for just a minute. I invite you to imagine the thousands of other movement organizers, the activists, strategists, the educators, the
40,000
door knockers and
viewers.
phone callers, the emotional grounders and
40,000.
healers and people who care deeply about the future of our people that are on this call tonight. Really see them. Realize that though we may be miles apart, though we may have different ideological beliefs and identities, we're all striving to build and belong in beloved community. Breathe that in. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Breathe in our unity. And then a deep breath out through your mouth. Breathe that out, the temptation to spend more time playing the blame game than executing the strategies and implementing the tactics to change our conditions. This call represents a wide cross-section of the United Front that's been organizing for many, many months, if not years, to block the authoritarian takeover of this country.
This is not new. This did not.
You may be tuning into this call as someone who's not even sure that elections are
working together on this.
But you may have still been involved in this broad effort to defeat MAGA at the ballot box. You may be tuning in as someone obsessed with politics who's voted for Democrats your whole life.
No, and you got a lot to learn if you think so.
Why
no,
people just don't see it as clearly as you do, that we should support Democrats to move the country forward.
We should support
You may be tuning in as someone who doesn't quite understand why people see the appeal of Trump or why people would be drawn to his MAGA politics. You're sitting with genuine curiosity or maybe even frustration and anger. And maybe, just maybe, you're someone who does understand the appeal of Trump because at one time you supported him too. Or maybe people you love and care about supported him. Or maybe you're a leftist who feels deep frustration at the many calls to move the Democrats to the center at the expense of targeted and marginalized communities, at the expense of suffering people. And in normal times, it's pretty safe to say that most of us on this call would have never chosen to be part of a Cheney to Chomsky United Front to do anything, but here we are. And everyone, every single one of you, every single one of us is welcome in this space tonight. We are here because none of us alone has the power to defeat the wickedness that has taken hold of our country. And none of us alone is capable of surviving on our own in the face of this threat to democracy. Since we're all together, since we're all united to defend our country and each other, we are also going to talk about what it's going to take to make sure that we're never in this situation ever again. This is the real talk that we will not shy away from, because none of what we are up against right now happens in a vacuum. And together, we need to have the courage to face those hard truths, just like we have had the courage to stand together to block this authoritarian threat. So, yeah, the outcome of this election is incredibly painful. And our assignment right now is to feel our feelings, to get grounded, to move strategically, to help others do the same. Our job is not to believe or spread rumors, but to lean into our organizations, because our organization is our strength. We need to fill our bodies, wholly supported by this planet, this incredible earth that sustains us. Before we dive into what the conditions are right now, can we just take a moment to feel rooted, to feel grounded, to feel supported, firmly planted on the ground, wherever you are. Feel the gentle pressure of the floor holding us up.
This is a hypnotizing
connected to this
technique.
Incredible earth. We're all in this together, y'all. I'm ready. I know you're ready. We have everything we need in our bones. Let's do this. I want you to take one more deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth.
Yeah.
While I remind you that if this call is useful to you, you can join us
Guys,
back here for future calls.
They right now
RSVP
have more live
as we
viewers
prepare to
than
move
Tim
towards
Cash usually
January's
has.
inauguration together.
Don't
Go
tell
to
me
the
this is one or
Mobilize
two
link
people.
that you can
Don't
see
tell
on
me
your
these are
screen,
small groups.
www.mobilize.us /working families /event /342586. Now
Don't
we're going to
do
get
this.
into a conversation about the conditions, where
no,
we stand.
She's not.
I'm going to
No,
bring up
she's a
two
socialist.
incredible
No.
movement leaders, folks that are literally
Okay.
taking charge in this moment where
I
there's
hesitate
so
to
much
do this,
chaos
but I'm
and
going to do this. I don't want to see any owning the libs. The goal of this exercise is to listen to what the left says when they think you're not listening. I don't want to see any owning of the libs. I don't want to see any fucking debunking. If you are not listening to what they're saying and learning from what they are saying, you are wasting our time. Go somewhere else. That is the rule here. We take this seriously. Oh, great. Now the whole thing's reloading. That's great. That's great. That's just great. That's great. YouTube is completely failing now. Let's see if we can reload. Nope. What the hell? Nope. There we go. Now we're getting a commercial. Great. Oh, another commercial. Great. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the thing. Nope. That's not even the link. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hang on. Apologies. See, this is what happens when I have to fuck with the stream to tell people to cut out the shit in the chat. YouTube completely backfires. 45,000 people watching. Can't get it to work on our end, but 45,000 people watching. Don't know why it's not working on our end. No reason for it. It doesn't matter. They are absolutely a socialist group. We've covered them before. Working families means proletariat. Why the fuck isn't this loading?
Just start by reminding us that we absolutely cannot allow ourselves to give up, because it is all worth fighting for. Everything we've been doing, everything you've been doing in your lives, it's worth fighting for. Our families, our freedoms, our healthcare, our climate, the rule of law, so much that we're going to talk about here tonight. It's all worth it. And let's be honest, you're not giving up. You're here tonight, and I'm not either. It's just not who we are. We may be tired, we may be pissed. I'm personally enraged, but we are not going anywhere. And our work didn't end when the polls closed on election night, and our work didn't end when we learned the outcome of the election the next morning, and it will not end here tonight. And remember that Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are counting on us to give up and to let them just take over this country. And last time I checked, more than 66 million people voted against their hate-filled agenda, and we're not going to let them run away with our freedoms and our democracy. That's not who we are. So just wanted to start there. So in this moment, we can feel the feelings, but soon we are going to need to raise our collective voices. We're going to need to not be complacent. We cannot be silent. We cannot give into fear and hopelessness. History has shown us that with each setback, our fight for progress comes back stronger, louder, and more effective. So what are we going to do? Which is probably something you're also interested in hearing about. I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do. And first, I want to talk a little bit about in the next few months, and then I'll share a bit about the next several years. So in the next few months, first, our most immediate imperative is to be together, is to be there for one another. Our greatest threat in this moment is not MAGA. It is not Trump. It is not Elon Musk. Our greatest threat in this moment is despair. And we know people out there right now, I'm sure everyone here on this call knows people right now who are struggling. They're grappling with what has happened. All of us are as well. We can't allow one another to be alone. Our fear, our anger, our sorrow, our confusion, it must be given space. We must come together and take care of one another. Super critically important step number one. So what does that mean for the immediate next several days, several weeks? What we are inviting folks to do on this call is to organize your own community neighborhood gatherings. Bring your people together to process,
doing things in person,
and scheme strategically
human
about the
connections
ways we can protect one another, protect our democracy, our country as we move forward. Bring your family members.
They're not doing everything on Twitter.
Bring
They're
your
doing
friends,
it in
your
person.
neighbors. Bring people together. On the site you're watching this right now, wearefightingfor.org. You can scroll down and there's a place where you can sign up to host one of these in your community. And we're going to make it super easy for you. But if you can be that connection point for others who are feeling how you feel right now, that is an incredible amount of power and agency that you can exercise to actually help basically light a fire under a movement that we need to spark for years to come. So sign up there. When you do, you'll get a toolkit.
Only
You'll get the
literal
support you need,
retards
or
believe the
trainings. We're
communists
making
are
it
broken.
Very easy for folks. We want folks.
They've
to
never been
bring
happier.
together folks
They've
in
never
their
been more
community now on
organized. They've never
Thanksgiving
been
or
more
after.
effective. No owning.
And then
the
let us
libs
not
in the
forget
chat.
that as Trump takes office, he's going to shed this mantle of change and become the candidate of a corrupt and dysfunctional administration with a deeply unpopular agenda. We know their agenda is massively unpopular.
It literally is public. Yeah.
So what we're
it
doing
is.
in the next few months is we are going to prepare now
Can't even-
to leverage the inevitable backlash to land a meaningful blow to Trump's Project 2025 within the first 100 days. Because we don't just want to stop bad things from happening, which in and of itself substantively, being able to do that is important. But also within
Anyone
the
who's
first
not
100
paying
days, we wanna
attention is going to get put into
remind
timeout
us
from
and
here
the
forward.
country that we do have agency, we do have power, and when we exercise it, we can make an impact. So that is the immediate few months. Then I want to talk about the next several years, because unfortunately, he's going to be in office for 4 years. So we have to strategically prepare to defy the MAGA agenda. And Trump would like us to believe that our power was evaporated in a single night. And that is simply not true. Look around us. I think we have over 100,000 people RSVP'd for this call tonight.
Over
So we need a long game,
100,000
not just a
people.
short game. We need a long game.
Over
We have one.
100,000
We offer
people,
it with
you
humility.
fucking retard.
But many of us have been strategizing.
They're
for
talking
over
about
a
their
year now.
ranks deserting.
Um,
Over
and
100,000
to be
people are registered
successful,
for this call tonight. MAGA-tards.
our
Their
big
ranks are
ecosystem, the
deserting.
big tent of
Shut the fuck
volunteers,
up. The next thing you
activists,
say in my chat, you're
leaders,
going to get banned.
Civil society institutions, we all must work together to
This is
apply
why the left wins and the
interlocking
right
set of
loses.
strategic approaches designed to do 4 things. So number 1, block. We want to do what's necessary to protect and
Unbelievable.
shield.
Unfucking believable.
Protect and shield things so that we can ensure a small d democratic transition in 2028. So what do I mean? We want to protect democratic functions, communities under
That means
threat,
socialism.
and critical civil society institutions, the infrastructure that we need in order to ensure a democratic transition in 2028. We also want to protect and shield the coalition that we need in order to win back power in elections. So we have to seek to rebuild
Democratic
and fortify
means
the
socialism.
majoritarian pro-democracy coalition we need to win back electoral power. On Tuesday, we lost a meaningful action of the anti-MAGA coalition, and that's a bitter pill to swallow. It's also not a permanent reality, but we're going to need to do some work to analyze how it happened and build and fortify a majoritarian coalition we
much
need to
distraction in the
regain
chat.
power back once again. And that is the work in front of us. So that is the work of blocking. Second, break. We need to weaken the MAGA's political strength and their pillars of support. So there are a set of strategies that will be driving in that area. Third, bridge. We need to offer a permission structure for defectors from the MAGA coalition to move into our pro-democracy tent. How do we make that welcome and not hostile for them to do that? We've already seen some defectors. We need even more.
Do you
And
think I can
last
control
but
their
not
sound?
least, build. We need to build our power and advance our ability to deliver
Can I control their
transformational
sound?
change and move forward. So how do
No,
we build
I can't.
power?
So you're just going to have to
and
suffer. So don't give me a
support
reason to yell at the
and,
chat.
infrastructure around our vision for what a multiracial democracy that works for all of us can actually look like? How does that thrive? And how do we make sure there are pillars of support all around that vision? So that's the long game.
Thanks for the money. You're not getting
and
it.
it's very top line.
Thanks
but
for the money.
we wanted to share it with you.
You don't get
and
it.
I won't lie to you. We've got a long road ahead of us. But we are not on this journey alone. We're here together, and this is just the
I'm
beginning.
more angry at the people watching
Our
in my chat
task
than I
over
am
the
at
next
them,
4
and that's a
years
fucking
will be to
problem.
harness every ounce of power we have and to use the institutions,
People in my chat learning
levers, and the tactics
nothing. Them
available
organizing
to us.
with
And we are
45,000 people.
staying
People
in
in
this
my
fight
chat
because
dunking
we
on the
are
fucking list
worth
because they don't
fighting
get it.
for. The people we love are worth fighting for. What we believe in and want are always worth fighting for. And when we do, we are going to win back power in the House and Senate with the biggest possible coalition. And we will oust the MAGA movement out of power and build something better. Because nothing good in this world happens by just lying down and letting other people walk over you. It happens because we put in the work. So that's our plan. Now we need each other to make it happen. And you're here tonight because I know you know this isn't the end. So let's get to work. Back to you, Ash.
Y'all heard our sister just now. There is a plan and we need to get started moving on it. We got to block and build. We got to bridge and break and do all the things. In a little while, we're going to do some political education on what we mean by all that to go a little deeper. So just hang around. But here's what you can do right now. Many of you might be watching on this website, but if you haven't, and you're streaming on Free Speech TV or any of the other places, there's a website at the bottom of your screen. On that web page, you can get plugged in right now. When you go there, you can sign up to show interest in hosting a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering. So if you aren't already there, I want you to go to www.weareworthfightingfor.org.
Thank you, two
Again,
ladies.
www.weareworthfightingfor.org. At the top of that page, you can indicate interest and you'll receive follow-up information on trainings and other resources. Signing up on the website doesn't commit you to hosting a meeting, but it does get you on the list to find out about those trainings so that you might be able to host your own.
They're training
The first
people
training,
to
in
do
fact, is
in-person
tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, y'all. So go sign up for it. Sign up for it right now.
They're training people how to
And
be
you can also
organizers.
find out
The right
about
doesn't
meetings
do
that are going
this.
on for many of our organizations that you're going to see on this call. So you can actually get plugged in directly with each of them. Go to the website that you see on your screen and get plugged in. I'm also getting texts that folks are trying to find where to watch. So if you're watching right now, I need you to spread the word that folks can see it on the website. You can go to weareworthfightingfor.org.
Anyone owning
Or
the
you can
links
watch
in
it
the
on
chat is gonna get
WFP's
banned.
YouTube channel. You
No
can watch it on
timeout,
WFP,
banned.
the Working Families Party Facebook page. You can see it on Free Speech TV. I need y'all to text the homies. I need you to tweet it out. Well, actually, I think we're probably boycotting Twitter because of Elon Musk. We're no fan of the billionaires. So actually, let's do it on Facebook and IG and Threads and all the other ways that you get a hold of your people. Make sure that all of the hundreds of thousands of people that have
Facebook
signed
and
up for
IG
this
for
call get to watch
organizing.
it tonight. Let's get our folks here so that we can get this good learning, so that we can get this
wrong.
good
Completely
grounding, so
incorrect.
that we can
Wrong.
get these good calls
Listen
to action
and
from
fucking
our
learn.
folks.
You don't know what you're
Next,
talking
I want to
about.
bring up my sister in the movement, co-founder and co-executive director of Indivisible, Leah Greenberg.
Unbelievable.
Welcome. Again,
Hello.
tell us what's going on and what we can do about it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ashley. It is so good to be here with this extraordinary group of leaders, with everyone who is watching. For folks who are seeing me for the first time, I'm the co-executive director of Indivisible. We support local indivisible groups all over the country organizing to protect our democracy. And whether you have been in this work for years or whether you are brand new to this fight, you are welcome and you are needed. So I'm going to talk about how we got here and where we go from here. And I want to say, I think it's normal to talk when we after an election loss to go into questions about pretty micro campaign decisions, right? Like the messaging and the strategy. And there are important conversations to have there. But in a loss of this nature, I also think we got to pull the lens wider. We've got to ask ourselves, why were we in the position of running against Donald Trump in the first place? Why 3.5 years after he launched a violent coup, was he still a candidate for office instead of being prosecuted? And we had a window. We had a window briefly back in 2021 when we could have prioritized. We could have prioritized prosecuting. We could have prioritized convicting him, making sure he couldn't run for office. That didn't happen. Folks moved on, turned the page, faded into the background. The bright lines that we drew to create that 2020 anti-authoritarian huge coalition, those started to collapse. And the ultra rich and the business class folks who had previously felt like they had to hide their support for Trump, Musk, Bezos, Jamie Dimon, these folks went back to choosing lower taxes over our democracy. Meanwhile, at the popular level, we've been fighting an uphill battle to keep that coalition together. We know inflation and
No.
post-COVID period has
No,
hit folks
she's
incredibly
saying
hard
we
around
as
this
in
country.
people who are
That has
not
had political
Democrats.
effects globally. Everywhere in the world, we have seen deep,
Please start
wide
listening.
frustration with governing parties. Literally every incumbent party who has presided over the rise of inflation has lost vote share in the next election. So it's a global phenomenon. And all of this further exacerbated, fractured our coalition over disastrous policies on Israel-Palestine. And meanwhile, through all this, all of our hostile, fragmented, increasingly sinister media environment in places controlled by those same billionaires, as you note, further fueled discontent, further spread disinformation and misinformation. And so when President Biden stepped back, Kamala Harris took over a campaign that was deep in the hole, she had an incredibly short window of time to reverse that trend, and it was too deep a hole to dig out of. And I think we've got to be honest. The tactics and the factors here extend beyond any single messaging or strategy decision. And what we're not going to do tonight is settle for cynical blame game attacks on any demographic group based on notoriously unreliable exit poll data. What's clear is Trump was able to capitalize on all these factors, right? The help of his billionaire allies to brand himself for enough voters as the candidate of change, as Rana said. And we lost people either to voting for him or to not voting at all. People who were frustrated or alienated or felt like democracy wasn't delivering results in their lives. We were not able to convince, and this is hard, we weren't able to convince enough people that the threat of Trump or the promise of Harris outweighed their frustration with the status quo. But I want to be very, very clear. The fate of American democracy is not going to be decided by a single election. We lost this battle, but we are going to win the next one. Because Donald Trump has nothing to offer beyond chaos, cruelty, and corruption. He could convince enough people that he was the candidate of change this time. He pulled in those folks who were frustrated and alienated, but that doesn't mean there's a mandate for fascism, for right-wing extremism, for corruption, for taking your health care, for abortion bans. This is the classic trick of fascists. They convince you to give up your own power. They try to convince you that fighting back is hopeless. He wants us to think that because he won one election, he gets to do whatever he wants. He is not counting on us. Our task is to fight back. We're not going to give an inch. When they start their assault on our communities, on our democracy, on our family, we know they're going to come for it. We know they're going to overreach. As they begin that assault, we'll be there fighting back. We'll be there to expose them. We'll build the bigger, stronger coalition that we need to stop MAGA once and for all. Remember, they want us to surrender our power. They want us to turn inward, to throw each other under the bus. And we're going to respond by fighting back. And we're going to do it together. That starts here. That starts on this call. That starts in the groups that you bring together, the communities that you create, where we recognize and we feel our own power, where we connect with each other. We have these conversations where we process, where we move forward, we hold each other up, and we do it together, because that's what we are going to do for the next 4 years. We are going to fight back together.
Thank you so much. Y'all show some love for Leah. Thank you so much for being here. Next, we're going to hear from Lisa Gilbert, the co-president of Public Citizen. Lisa, come on in. Tell me, what time is it on the clock of the United States, and what is Public Citizen doing about it?
Thanks, Ashley. Well, first, I just want to say how much I appreciate being in community with all of you tonight, joining a call with so many incredible leaders. It's been a really hard couple of days, and I know we will need this movement family more than ever going forward. So just wanted to start out with appreciation for this space as we contemplate all the work ahead. As Ashley said, I'm Lisa Gilbert, co-president of Public Citizen. Public Citizen is a multi-issue organization. We're membership-based, and we have a focus on taking on corporate power. And one core topic for us has always been fighting to improve and defend democracy. And of course, as we all know, some of the biggest threats now barreling at us with the second Trump term are those to our democracy. The first Trump administration was marked by countless abuses of power, shredding the rights of communities across America, trampling on the Constitution, and obstructing Congress again and again. Folks probably remember many of the specific abuses from last time, although some of it almost feels quaint now. But Trump fired Jim Comey, his FBI director, for not being sufficiently loyal. He obstructed and undermined the Mueller investigation into Russia's attempts to disrupt the 2016 election. He engaged in extensive unethical profiteering in the services of his own business, including abuse of the emoluments clause of the Constitution. He allowed grifters to use their business connections to him to make money lobbying on the pandemic. And there is so much more, like, of course, inciting an insurrection and refusing to accept the peaceful transfer of power. We know that the next 4 years will be a return to these kinds of behaviors. We know it's coming. It was telegraphed in his noxious campaign in Project 2025 and in the actions I just mentioned, in the actions of the first term. He and his advisors have publicly discussed hundreds of further actions that directly threaten democracy, the rule of law, as well as our security. So we need to prepare to push back. And the good news is we can win these types of fights. We did win these types of fights in the first term. We were effective at pushing back when specific abuses occurred, but it took all of us, unity and attention to detail, but we were able to put wins on the board. So, for example, we highlighted conflicts of interest of cabinet nominees. Our collective community was able to fight back and cause the resignation of Scott Pruitt, the head of the EPA. It was a testament to whistleblowers, to the vigorous use of the Freedom of Information Act by outside groups, and by members of the public pushing for the rule of law. As a community, we did this over and over. We helped drive out 3 cabinet secretaries from office last time. And we can do that kind of thing again. Public Citizen co-hosts a network called the Not Above the Law Coalition, which many of the organizations that you all belong to are a part of. And with this group, many of us are gearing up to, again, expose Trump's personal and family conflicts of interest, to highlight ethical breaches by cabinet nominees to defeat as many as possible, to choose strategic moments to mobilize when we see the authoritarian actions that we know are coming, and to FOIA and sue the administration to obtain documents and block all manner of illegal actions. And again, we can win victories against Trump in service of democracy. So before I stop and hand it back to Ashley, I just want to pause and highlight the fact that Joe Biden is still president until January 20th at noon. And one thing that the Biden administration can do to help us in our upcoming fight is pursue all available executive actions to safeguard the long-term health of our democracy. He can prioritize actions that will protect vulnerable individuals and communities who we know will be targeted by the Trump administration. He can protect career civil servants and government institutions that serve the people of the United States, and he can advance national security actions that will protect the public. Some folks have started calling this time period, these 3 months, YOLO Joe, or You Only Live Once Joe. Credit to our friends at the Center for American Progress and ACLU for this name, and for thinking through what actions the administration can take in these months to protect democracy before Trump comes in. So to help this effort, we're encouraging everyone on this call to sign a petition, making this ask to Biden and his team. Stay tuned for a link to this to participants after this call, and also you'll find it in the chat. Our friends at Move On are hosting the petition. I'll just say it out loud at moveon.org/YOLO Joe. So with that, I just want to thank everyone again for being here tonight. I personally feel better when I think about the team and the tools that we are bringing to this battle. When I think about all of you, we will win specific battles to protect democracy, to discredit their personnel, and to defend our country. So thanks.
Lisa, thank you so much for giving us a concrete call to action. Thank you for the work of Public Citizen and for reminding us it ain't even over yet. Y'all make sure that you go to moveon.org/YOLO Joe and tell him we expect him to put down some protections before he leaves that office. Thank you so much, Lisa. Now it is my greatest honor to bring in to many of you someone who you know. She's a movement elder, a auntie to many of us. I want to bring a really incredible First Nations leader, Judith LeBlanc, on the stage. Y'all can already see that we got the People's Champion Representative Jayapal on the call today, and she's going to be joining us shortly. I'm so excited for you all to hear from her. We thought it important that we bring in both some elected People's Champions to talk about what this moment means to their bases, to working people from all over the country. And we wanted to make sure that we had movement elders here to talk to us. So the next speaker that you will hear from is going to be our incredible movement auntie, Judith LeBlanc. And then we will be tossing it to Representative Jayapal. Auntie, take us away.
I am so happy to
It
be with all of
doesn't
you.
fucking
I am on my way.
matter.
I just left the Crow Reservation in Montana. I'm
My
actually
God.
standing in a
We can't
breezeway
go more
in the
than
Denver
3 minutes in the
airport
chat without
because
something
of the
saying something
snowstorm.
stupid.
And many are asking for directions to different gates. And so if I get interrupted, it's because I look like a flight attendant. I was on the Crow Reservation for the last week working with 24 moccasins on the ground. Last night, we gathered for buffalo steaks, buffalo burgers. We put our tobacco down on the ground in prayer. We ate good. And the first thing we talked about was the fact that we did good, that there were over 4,000 people who voted on the Crow Reservation in Montana. We talked to nearly 2,000 people in the last 2 months, registered people to vote, drove them to the polls. And what the 24 moccasins on the ground wanted to talk about, what are we going to do next time? What are we going to do next? What are we going to do next time? We're going to go to other reservations because when they looked at the map, this red Montana, there was one blue spot. Look it up. Crow Reservation. Crow Reservation. I want to bring that up to say that elections are a tactic. Elections are a tactic. They do not solve our problems. The elections create the conditions under which we will continue to organize and build our base. Our strategy is determined by the time continuum. The past and the future only come together one place. In the present, we know that to be true. Our ancestors proved that. We have a responsibility for our descendants. And I want to say that many of you, I know you. Many of you, I've worked with you. And the truth is that we've been in a magic movement moment together at different periods of time. We interrupted the narrative. Black Lives Matter interrupted the narrative. Standing Rock interrupted the narrative of who we are in the 21st century. But you know what? We did not change the narrative. We interrupted it, and then we organized the hell out of it and had the first Native Secretary of the Interior. We did that. We stopped the KXL pipeline. We, on this call, did that. We're protecting sacred sites. The Biden administration has taken steps, but we did that. We organized our nations. And so I say that to say is that we are on the rise. It may not feel like it, but the relationships that we all built, the relationships with the 2,000 people on Crow are there to stay. They're there to nourish. They are there to be watered, and they are there to be mobilized and educated about how we face the challenges ahead. I want to say we've talked about with a number of Native groups in the last 2 days, 3 things. Number one, we must honor our work. We must lift up all the people on the ground who are preparing to fight the deportations, who are ready and willing to step up and step into the political moment. But we have to cherish what we've done together in the last 4 years. The last 4 years. Secondly, we have to come to grips with the fact and study what happened on the ground, to use practice-based evidence. The New York Times and the NBC said Indians swerved to the right and voted Republican. We have to take our experience and interrupt the narrative, because where we organize, we moved people. We are not leading the majorities yet, although majorities in this country agree with us about the need for action on climate change, about the need for economic security, about the need for women to have control over their bodies. They agree with us, but they voted a different way at the top of the ticket. So I want to remind us of that, because if we get a barricade mentality and we think we must defend, we're going to be on the back foot. We must walk in balance, as the Navajo say. Walk in beauty, understand 360 degrees, where we're going, but where we came from. We also have had discussions about violence, the threat of violence. Violence doesn't solve political problems. It doesn't. It didn't in Iraq. It doesn't here on the streets of our cities or on our reservations. How do we walk in beauty? That is what we need to explore together. And I want to end by saying that we're going to bring it to Washington. We're going to bring it to the Biden administration. We're going to bring it because right now we have a lame duck session. I still don't have directions for all those who want them here in the Denver airport. We're going to bring it. You know why? Because there are urgent issues in the lame duck session that we have to fight for and organize around. And if we don't take action and keep our people moving, we will lose them. So I just want to say, I am ready and I'm steady. You know why? Organizing is our medicine. Organizing our people, building on the relationships that we have been growing for years. I love you.
Let's see. We love you. Travel safe. We're sending love and putting prayers up for your safe travels to your destination. Thank you so much. I just want to remind you, Auntie gave us 3 marching orders. She said we have to honor and cherish our work. We got to come to grips with and study what happened on the ground. Remember that the people are with us. And when we organize, we move people. And that it's time for us to walk in beauty. And we got to bring it, that our work is not over. I want to tell y'all that there are already over 1,300 people signed up saying that they're interested in hosting community meetings.
That's crazy.
Thank you so much for doing so. We want you to make sure that you're continuing to push it out. Go to www.weareworthfightingfor.org and express your interest in getting follow-up information and getting trainings and getting resources to host these incredible community gatherings in our communities. Judith LeBlanc, we love you. We love you so much. We're gonna keep it pushing, y'all. The next speaker that you are gonna hear from, we already hinted at. You might have even seen her beautiful face. We get to bring up somebody who's not just talking about it, but being about it in the belly of the beast. I get to introduce to some and bring back to others an incredible people's champion, the honorable representative, Jayapal. Please come on in the room. We love you. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Lee. And it's so wonderful to follow the incredible Judith. And also Rana, Leah, Maurice, Lisa, all of the movement leaders in the 100 progressive organizations who have just been working so tirelessly and successfully to build our movement power. I want to start with gratitude and with love to everyone on this call and to those who might listen later. Thank you for leaving nothing on the table. Thank you for continuing to build our movement, for building power for poor and working people, for standing up to the rich and powerful, for standing up for peace, democracy, and humanity. Now, I know it's a tough time. I can tell you I'm here in Washington State at home, and it feels really jarring because actually here in our state, we had a great election night. We actually became even bluer, winning just about everything that was on the ballot. But whether you're in a state that won or a state that lost a lot, I just want you to know that this is the movement that has a space for you for the long term. And let's just be clear that the moment is particularly devastating for so many who now fear for their safety, whether they're immigrants, trans, a member of so many of the other marginalized communities that have been relentlessly targeted by Donald Trump, and even targeted sometimes by conservative Democrats who are just quick to jump in and blame the most vulnerable instead of just looking at themselves at what happened. So I just want everybody to give themselves permission to check in with yourself, your friends, your neighbors, accept and give support so that everyone knows that we're in this together. No one is alone. And never forget that when your heart breaks, that is when it is most open. So let's try to preserve that openness, as difficult as it is. Don't try to move too quickly either. Let your tears flow for your fears, your dashed hopes, your anger, your frustration. It is okay. That is actually the first step for all of us, just to acknowledge the grief and sit with it, and allow it to flow out of our bodies, because that will help make space for the inspiration and the resolve to flow in. The second piece, we can only really start analyzing. This is my second A, acknowledges the first one, analyzes the second one. What happened? And that analysis is really essential. The blame game, you've seen it. It's already started with a lot of cheap shots at our progressive movement. And it's easy to finger point, even for us, but we need to resist it. I imagine we share a lot of theories about this election and what led us here. But I think we actually need to look at the data. We need to not just exit polls that are coming out, but actual data. We need to test our own theories, and we need to approach this moment with humility and introspection and understand what strategies did work, what didn't work, what barriers are in the way, and how do we break them down. And to me, that's the way that we get to the third step of acting. And these are interchangeable. It's not like it all happens linearly. You go back and forth between these things. But the third step of acting is to rebuild what has been for years an increasingly fragile coalition into something that is sustainable and lasting, that brings power to working people. What I do know is that the Democratic Party was not able to clearly articulate to enough voters what we would do to make their lives materially better. Where Biden won the majority of voters earning under 100,000 in 2020, Democrats lost those voters in 2024. Where Trump won voters earning more than 100,000 in 2020, Harris won those in 2024. At the same time, voters went directly to the ballot to vote in 3 Trump states for raising the minimum wage, in 1 for paid sick leave, and in 4 Trump states for abortion access. It would have been 5 if Florida had just required a simple majority. Too many Americans just don't believe that the system works for them, and they're not wrong. Republicans have defunded and attacked government, and too often people in power haven't always used that power when they had it. And that goes back a ways. That's not just this election. That goes back to trade. It goes back to not passing minimum wage or union organizing when we could have. And even though Donald Trump is a billionaire who surrounds himself with billionaires, voters saw him as someone who was willing to buck the system instead of keeping the same system that doesn't serve them in place. And there's lots of other things, communications channels, the money, but it isn't as easy as saying that we'll build a diverse coalition of Black, Brown, Indigenous young people, and they'll all be with us. We actually have to earn their votes, and we're losing people because we're not earning their votes. And I think this group of people has been doing exactly that, earning the votes work on the ground, despite all the barriers that are out there. So what the Democratic Party is going to have to decide is, what do we stand for? We need to clearly stand up for our principles. We need to respond to the urgency of people's economic concerns, and we need to offer a real contrast to the Republican Party. Even now, there are already pundits and some of my colleagues in Congress who want to push to the center and become Trump light instead of articulating the vision of what we stand for on our own terms, informed by what we see in our conversations and hear on the ground and see in the data. The House is yet to be called, but we still have a path to the majority. We still have a path to the majority. And almost all of our Democrats, including in the toughest districts, outperformed the top of the ticket, which is really pretty remarkable in this environment. If we do have the majority, it'll be slim. We're going to need to quickly put together an agenda that shows people what we stand for, even in divided government. And if we lose the House, we're going to be in full-throated defensive mode. But in either case, we will still need to do the work to rebuild and call people in to our coalition. In either case, the movement is desperately needed. You will be absolutely essential to the work that we need to do in the streets, in the courts, in people's homes, and in Congress as we rebuild from the bottom up. So whatever you feel today, do not let anyone tell you that you are powerless, that we are powerless. Don't let them take from you the incredible work that you have been doing before and during this election. Don't give up the power of your action, your resilience, your principles, your commitment. And don't forget that we know how to do this work. We have actually prepared for these times. We have experienced victory against Trump before, and we will again. Remember that it was
They
our
prepared
inside
for
outside
this.
movement
It
that won
wasn't out of
against
nowhere.
Trump in
They
his first
prepared
term
for
on
this.
multiple issues. Together, we forced him to stop the horrific family separations. We prevented him from abolishing healthcare. And yes, we pushed him out in 2020. We can do that again. And today you're going to get the tools and strategies for how we rebuild. So we're in this together, and we're going to stand here together as we have again and again. So take the time you need to grieve, to mourn, to analyze, and then take your place, your rightful place in this incredible movement filled with generous, loving, strategic, brilliant, caring people building sustained power for the poor and working class. As organizers, we know that strength actually does come in these incredible moments of crisis. It has before and it will again. And I know our movement will continue to lead with generosity and abundance rather than scarcity and fear. So thank you all so much. You belong here, and much love to you.
Representative Jayapal once again giving a word to the people at a time of great need. I just want to again emphasize our people's champion told us we've got to acknowledge, we've got to analyze, and we've got to act. Our movements are critical to it. Thank you for that call to action. Thank you for that inspiring word. Thank you for being straight up with us that this is an opportunity where we actually have to feel our feelings and then mobilize to action. Thank you so much, Representative. We appreciate you. All right, y'all. I have another update before we get into this good learning, our political education, and then our next batch of speakers. Y'all, we have hit the 140,000 RSVP mark. And I want to tell you that we now have like 2,500 community gathering signups 2,500 already.
Community gatherings.
I want to see, and that just happened between like the time that Auntie Judy spoke and that Representative Jayapal spoke. So y'all are literally taking these calls to action seriously. You're signing up to express interest for these community gatherings. Y'all, I want you to see if we can hit that 3,000 mark before the end of the call. Can we hit the 3,000 mark? Can we commit to 3,000 community gatherings across this country, saying that we are worth fighting for? If so, I want you to go to weareworthfightingfor.org. I want you to sign up for your interest, to show your interest in these community gatherings. And I want you to make sure that you text mass call, MASSCALL, to 30403 so we can make sure that we keep you in the loop of these calls to actions. Make sure you get signed up. And again, we're going to make a goal of 3,000. I've got folks literally texting me right now to tell me if we're going to get close to that, and I'll give you an update as soon as I get updated numbers. So let's get into this learning together. We've already heard from brilliant movement leaders, from our people's champion, Representative Jayapal, and yet there's more to discuss. As always on these mass calls, we want to ground ourselves in political education. We've been doing these mass calls for a while now, and if you like getting this kind of political education opportunity, I want you to text mass call, MASS space CALL, to 30403 to find out about more. Today, we're going to focus on the fact that we're losing working class people, y'all. And in case you were worried that we're just going to admire a problem here, we're also going to talk about what we do about it. We're going to hear from Maurice Mitchell, the national director of the Working Families Party, a little later, who's going to lay down a plan. So stick around for that. What we have shared understanding about is the conditions that we're organizing in. We're all grieving them. It allows us to understand that the things that our organization is doing over here are related to the things that organizations are doing over there. That's why we build this shared understanding. This bigger picture helps us break down silos and understand the full nature of the crisis conditions that we're working in. In this section, we're going to be talking about political parties for educational purposes only. In earlier mass calls, we talked about the MAGA threat. MAGA is a distillation of a bunch of historical movements on the right. There's a historical precedent for MAGA. And second, MAGA represents something even more dangerous than any of these past right-wing movements. The reason that MAGA is more dangerous now is that there's a more fundamental breakdown in the existing order going on right now. The way the world works is turned on its head. This is happening in the United States, and it's also happening all over the world. So why is there a breakdown in the existing order of things? Well, let's picture it from a U.S. perspective. Right now, there are a series of crises that are all interlocking and converging. There's growing inequality, the changing role of the U.S. in the world, climate change, changing gender norms and the backlash to it, and the racial reckoning and its backlash, among many, many others that you all are experiencing every day. All of these forces are bearing down on us.
Capitalism.
They're intersecting in all kinds of ways. It's creating incredible pressure on the status quo as we've known it. People's trust in our institutions is breaking down on a fundamental level. Combine this with the fact that for many, many people, life has gotten harder on a day-to-day level. Y'all have seen it. Groceries are more expensive. We can't afford a home. We're buried in debt. Enter into this mix a demagogue like Donald Trump, who's creating and riding the wave of this popular resentment. The conditions are right for MAGA to be so much more dangerous than its predecessors. And while it's easy to just pin it all on Trump, that's not really doing us any favors. We need to push ourselves to think more strategically about this situation, and it's worth digging into these a little bit more deeply. This is the context for a political crisis, too. We've talked about this a lot on earlier calls. It's defined by 4 interconnected parts. The first part is that the Republican Party is in control of an openly authoritarian faction. This is crystal clear. Let's dig in deeper on points 2 and 3 on this slide.
Pod, appreciate you.
Bullet number 2 says much of the Democratic Party is controlled by ultra wealthy people and the forces of multinational corporations. To be fair, both parties are. Because of the increase in money in politics, both major political parties have become increasingly dependent on corporate donations. This prevents Democrats from putting forward truly transformative policies for working people. It's not possible to serve 2 masters, the ultra wealthy and working people at the same time. This is why the policy solutions look the same. They're tweaks to a system because folks who are getting rich don't really want things to change. Bullet number 3 says that Democrats are losing working people of all races. The Democratic Party is losing working class support while Republicans are reaching out to those voters, and it's working. A lot of us grew up understanding that the Republicans were the party of the boardroom and the country club, and Democrats were the party of the union hall, the public school PTA, and maybe the black church basement. Working people flocked to the Democratic Party during the New Deal era, attracted by transformative policies like the creation of a minimum wage that moved millions out of poverty and the expansion of unions that drove up wages and benefits, allowing many working families to begin to thrive, not just survive. Of course, there were many communities left out of these gains, but that New Deal and the civil rights era built an alignment between working people and the Democratic Party. But we're seeing that change. More and more, building a winning voter coalition with working class voters in an election has been like trying to fill a bucket when there's a big hole in the bottom of it. So the New Deal era is long over, and that alignment has been breaking down. Today, wealth inequality is at historic levels. While America's production goes up, our workers are not benefiting. Tons of workers are now in a gig economy with low wages and no benefits. Since the 1970s, basically every administration has adopted a neoliberal policy agenda. This is a governing philosophy that basically says that the only job for the government is to protect the market and the free flow of capital. It's led to decades of cuts to benefits, privatization of our schools and other public services, and people are losing a sense that the government is even capable of helping them or their families in any real meaningful way. Neoliberalism has weakened the bargaining power of workers and transferred wealth upward towards the 1%. When we talk about this being one-sided class war that exists where the rich are waging war against us, neoliberalism is their battle plan, essentially. But if people in public opinion were just products of the economy, it would be too simple. The Republican political strategist Lee Atwater once said, quote, "Perception is reality," end quote. In other words, it's not enough to simply govern.
These are not fucking Democrats.
It matters how people
perceive
the way that you are governing and who they perceive is benefiting. Too often, both parties are fighting culture wars that tell a different story about who is winning and who is losing. These are stories of division that paint immigrants, gangs, and petty crime and foreign countries as a problem.
I can't get
And
anyone to take
before
this
you
seriously.
know it, we aren't telling a story that makes everyday working people feel seen, heard, inspired to come together. Instead, we're telling a story of distrust and blame of each other. We have a fractured media environment. And nowadays, people are not so much voting for someone or something, but rather against it. In this context, it's very easy to create these alternative narratives. And unfortunately, facts matter less than perception. None of this is particularly unique to the United States. When inequality grows, corporations and the rich often support authoritarian leaders who will keep things as they are. We're seeing the trend of authoritarian forces growing worldwide. The far right is gaining power in places like the UK, India, and Germany, and working class people are moving right too. The traditional right party in the UK, the Tories, has been taken over by a hard right. Their election too took on racist and anti-immigrant themes. While the Labour Party prevailed in the most recent elections, they are reacting by moving to the right. In India, we've seen the weaponization of Hindu nationalism to become one of the most powerful prime ministers in the country's history. And in Germany,
I don't want to see any owning the libs in the chat. I've already warned people multiple times. I do not want to see any owning the libs in the chat. I don't want to see any debunking. What I want is for people to listen to what is being said, to learn from what is being said. And I'm seeing just a really frustrating amount of people who are not here to listen. They are not here to learn. They are here to own the libs. That is not what we are doing here. If I find you owning the libs in my chat, you're going to get put in a timeout. If you keep owning the libs in my chat, you will get banned. We take this seriously. I'm not doing fucking clickbait content to feed your fucking outrage addiction. We are trying to learn.
all multi-party political systems, the United States has a rigid two-party system. Why this is can be a subject for us to talk about at another time. The first thing to say, though, is that just changing the system in the US won't make any of these problems immediately go away. If that were the case, all of these multi-party systems we just discussed would be doing just fine. But to ignore the role that the two-party system plays in our particular situation in the United States misses a key piece of the puzzle. Our political system works as a zero-sum equation. If the Republican Party loses strength, it mechanically translates into strength for the Democratic Party. It works in the other direction too. If Democrats lose support, it directly translates into strength for Republicans. This makes it really hard for working people that are angry and want to punish elected officials and parties, and to do so without unintended consequences. And because the margin of victory in many races, like for president, is so small, there's basically no wiggle room in this equation right now. It doesn't matter if the loss of support is in the form of people staying home or voting for the other party or voting for a third party candidate. All of it mechanically transfers power to the other side of the two-party equation. So if you have a situation where for both economic...
At the end of this call, I'm going to be asking the people in the chat what the point of this call was. So help you if you don't know the answer to what the point of this call was. So help you.
Suggest that if we had a different political system, all of our problems would magically be solved. But we do need to understand the ways in which this dynamic shapes the set of options that we've got. What this boils down to is that all of us on this call, the over 140,000 of us that have registered to be together tonight, have an urgent need to build and rebuild our...
If you were listening instead of talking, you would know the answer.
It won't be easy to fix these problems. It won't happen in 1 year, or maybe even over 4 or 8 years. In a little while, we're going to hear from Maurice Mitchell, the National Director of the Working Families Party, about what we need to be building and rebuilding our power. And spoiler alert, the things that we do over the next few weeks will either put us on the path towards the goal or move us further away. If you like what you see in this political education module, or if you want to get caught up on the political education sessions that we've been doing on these calls since the spring, you can watch all the recordings at www.workingfamilies.org/mass calls. And again, if you want to get reminded about the next mass calls and keep learning with us, I want you to text mass call, MASS space CALL to 30403. Again, you can text the words mass call, MASS space CALL to 30403. And again, I've told you all earlier tonight that we're going to move from just learning to putting that good learning into action. And one of the ways that we're going to be able to do that is by signing up to host community meetings, the We Are Worth Fighting For community meeting. I want you to go to www.weareworthfightingfor.org. I want you to go there and I want you to show your interest in hosting one of these community meetings. You can see it at the top of the page where you indicate your interest. You're going to receive a follow-up message with information on trainings and other resources. Signing up on the website doesn't commit you to hosting a meeting, but it does get you on the list to find out about those trainings and learn more about what you need to do to host your own. The first training, again, is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. So y'all go over there and sign up if you're not already watching this video there. And you can find out about meetings going on for many organizations that you see on this call and get plugged in directly with them if you express your interest. So go to the website, www.weareworthfightingfor.org, and get plugged in. So with that, I want to bring back in some of our movement allies, movement leaders to hear about what's going on right here and now and to discuss what our next moves are going to be together. Representative Raskin, I hear we got another people's champion on the call.
Oh,
thank you so much for being here. Representative, I'm going to ask you to
Raskin.
turn your phone horizontally if you don't mind. Come on in the room. Thank you so much for being here with us. I think it's going to flip you sideways. We might just have to do it vertical for tonight, and that'll be all right. Representative Raskin, welcome. I'm going to ask you to come off mute and talk to the people about what time it is on the clock of the United States and what you recommend we be doing about it. Thank you so much for not regarding it robbery to be here with us. We know it's super busy tonight. You're going to tell you to keep it vertical and point it towards yourself. So
No, we don't. Do you want to know why we don't outnumber the commies? Because I can't even get you retards to sit and fucking listen to them and learn about them. So no, you do not outnumber the commies. You do not, in any way. They're fucking working right now. You're fucking owning the libs in my chat. We do not outnumber them. They outnumber us significantly, and that is why they're winning.
Y'all know what time it is. Thank you so much for being here, Representative Raskin.
There we go. You got
there
me
we
now?
go. Welcome.
Right. Hey, everybody. And forgive me, somebody can text me about how to make my screen go horizontal. It's driving me crazy. But anyway, welcome to the new world we're in. It's not the one that we were fighting for. And I want to first start by thanking everybody out there for everything you did campaigning for the Harris Walls ticket and going door to door and doing the phone banking and writing the postcards and mobilizing people.
There is no conservative organization that can hold a recruiting call that 140,000 people sign up for and 45,000 people attend live. They're down to 35,000 people now, but there were 45,000 people watching this earlier, and they're going to send out the replay to the 140,000 people who signed up for it. There is not a single conservative organization that can get 3,000 community meetings organized on a single fucking call. So I don't want to hear from anyone, and I mean fucking no one. We outnumber them. No, you don't.
The inflation was obviously a product of the collapse of the supply chains during COVID-19 because of the lethal recklessness of Donald Trump, among others. But that inflation hurt, and it's always hurt progressive politics. Inflation was a critical element of the collapse of democracy in Weimar Germany, and right-wing movements always thrive on the politics of inflation, and that's certainly,
What the
a
fuck?
key part, although not the exclusive part of the story of what just happened to us here.
The collapse of
There
democracy
were a
in
couple of
Weimar
trillion
Germany.
dollars that
Oh
we
my
put into the
God.
economy with the American Rescue Act and some other acts. That was done mostly on a bipartisan basis. Of course, they blamed inflation entirely on the Democrats, and I'm not sure we did necessarily the most effective job of refuting that. The other problem on the economic side, as I've been reflecting on it, is that we were sort of caught betwixt and between. On the one hand, there's been all of this press and coverage about how strong the American economy is. The Economist has a cover story from 2 weeks ago, in headlines, blaring the American economy, the envy of the world. And of course, we did bring inflation down lower than any of the G7 countries did. We've had lower than 4% unemployment for 50 straight months. The problem is inequality in the economy. And so I'm afraid that we didn't make that connection for people. In other words, a lot of Democrats, we were not talking about how strong the economy was because that telegraphed indifference or coldness about people who are really suffering through the COVID-19 inflation. But I think that doesn't give people enough credit to understand, hey, we actually have a roaring economy here. We have 14 million new jobs, 900,000 new manufacturing jobs. But what we've got is too much inequality. We don't have enough union density. The right to organize is not being respected and honored. The right of collective bargaining is under attack. And so we should have said the Democrats can be and must be trusted with the economy, and we are the ones who are going to fight to close all of the economic inequalities that the Republican Party is so devoted to. But in any event, we'll be able to do a more specific analysis of that and of what exactly happened. But look, in some sense, it's important politically for us to do this in terms of going forward, but I know that people have been despondent. I've certainly felt despondent. People in my family, my friends, everybody I'm surrounded with just feels very gloomy and moody about what's happened. But what we've got to understand is this has got to be an impetus for us to get more engaged and more focused, more analytical, and more creative and nimble in our strategies of dealing with a very complicated situation. Now, my own focus has been a lot on the limitations of our political institutions. John Dewey said that there's no solution for the ills of democracy other than more democracy. And what we are suffering from today is not democracy, but all of the impediments and the obstacles that have been thrown up against it. For example, the gerrymandered congressional and legislative districts. For example, the voter suppression tactics, the difficulties that people have in getting registered to vote, the difficulties people have in actually voting. All of these things make our democratic process highly flawed. We have right-wing judicial activism, which resulted in the gutting of the Voting Rights Act in the Shelby County versus Holder case in 2013. The heart of the Voting Rights Act was the pre-clearance requirement, which said that covered jurisdictions had to submit to the Department of Justice or to a federal district court their plans for changes to make sure they would not have a retrogressive effect on the ability of minorities to.
I'm about to give you your third time out for continuing to bring up stuff in the chat that's not relevant to the presentation. I've asked you several times. There's a message pinned to the top of the chat. I've demanded the chat cut this shit out. I'm going to give you your third time out for doing it. If you don't listen to me, you're going to get banned next time. Now we've stopped the entire presentation just for you.
Polling places or the consolidation of polling places, new laws that throw people off of the voting rolls if they miss an election, and so on. Okay, so not only is there that, but we've got millions of people in America who are disenfranchised, including the people of Puerto Rico, who came into sharp focus at the end of the campaign with that racist Nuremberg-style gathering at Madison Square Garden of the Trump forces. Well, we've got 3.5 million American citizens in Puerto Rico who have no voting representation in the House of Representatives or in the Senate and cannot even vote for President of the United States. We've got 713,000 tax-paying, draftable American citizens who live in the nation's capital, the only nation's capital on planet Earth where the people are disenfranchised in their own national parliament or legislature. And in the 117th Congress, in a party line vote, unfortunately, the Democrats voted to pass DC statehood. And I got to be the floor leader for that. And I started off by thanking the people of DC who have a bona fide, valid political grievance, and yet nonetheless didn't come down to the Capitol and beat the daylights out of our police officers and storm the buildings and drive the members of the House and the Senate out of our chambers and try to overturn the constitutional order and an election. So they've done it the right way. They've had a statehood constitutional convention. They've asked for admission to the union. It is time for us to admit Washington, D.C., like we've admitted the last 37 states into the union. So there are things that we can do. You know, we still have millions of people who are disenfranchised because they are former prisoners. They were in prison. Now, the vast majority of states have voted to say that former prisoners who have every other right restored to them when they get out of prison can also vote again. And yet there are 7 or 8 states which continue to either make it impossible or very difficult for former prisoners to get the right to vote. One of those is Florida. Even though the people of Florida voted by referendum to restore voting rights to the former prisoners, the legislature then went ahead and said that that's fine. They can vote according to the plebiscite, except first they've got to pay back the Florida government for the costs of their incarceration, charging people tens of thousands of dollars before they have the right to vote, which of course is a poll tax. So all of that is being litigated at this point. But you see, democracy is not a static collection of laws and practices, although it's partly that. Democracy is always an unfinished project. It's a process in motion. And so when we say we're defending democracy, we've got to make it clear to people that we are trying to move democracy forward. Tocqueville said in Democracy in America that
socialism.
Democracy and voting rights in our country are either shrinking and shriveling away or they're expanding and growing. And we've got to get democracy back on the growth track. And that's got to be a very important part of our work moving forward, because what we've got is some antiquated institutions that operate on some really closed systems like gerrymandering of our districts, like the voter suppression schemes that are now rampant in lots of parts of the country,
That's really
and then
unhelpful.
completely ignore the democratic aspirations of millions of people who are left out. So I want to make clear that that needs to be part of our struggle going forward. Democracy and freedom are obviously closely linked. Lincoln said
That means
democracy is
socialism.
like the beautiful silver platter upon which rests the golden apple of freedom. And we're not going to have freedom for women or any other Americans until we have strong democracy that's going to be able to defend freedom. So right now we understand democracy and freedom are under attack. It's going to be up to us to defend them at every turn. And it's going to be our honor to work with these great organizations and the great movements we have in America that have transformed our society. These have been the civilizing movements of American history, and everything depends on it. Those of us who aspire and attain to public office are nothing but the servants of the people. And the moment that we no longer act as servants of the people, that's the moment to evict, eject, reject, try, convict, impeach, start all over again. And we've got to remember, we have no kings here. We have no queens. We have no czars. We have no royals. We have no titles of nobility, and we're going to hang on to constitutional democracy, and we're going to keep America moving forward. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you so much, Representative Raskin. I just want to bring up some of the gold that you told us. We've got to fight for reenfranchisement of our formerly and currently incarcerated peoples. We got to make sure that we fight for the Voting Rights Act. We got to make sure that DC becomes a respected state. I know a bunch of you all have been fighting for dignity for DC. I see you. Thank you so much, Representative Raskin. We appreciate you for being here with us tonight. Y'all, we've got miles to go because there's so many other incredible movement leaders that I want to make sure you hear from tonight. But before I transition to the next two people who are my sheroes in movement, I've got an update about the numbers, y'all. So I asked you if we could get to 3,000 signups for folks who are interested in hosting a worth fighting for community gathering before the end of the call, and you all have already hit 4,000. You all already, since the last time I gave an update, have hit 4,000 signups for folks interested in hosting a worth fighting for community gathering. I'm going to now ask if we can get to 4,500 before the end of the call. I also want to shout out the 11 folks who have already followed up with the support materials that they received and have posted their gatherings. 100 people are already signed up to attend the training to support the hosting of those gatherings tomorrow. The first one is at 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, you can go to weareworthfightingfor.org and you can sign up to express your interest. You can sign up to make sure that you're RSVP'd for the training that's going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Y'all come on and let's get to 4,500 before the end of the call. If y'all hit 4,500, I'm just proud. I'm happy. As much as I'm upset about the conditions that we are in, I feel hopeful because of the actions that
stopping the whole presentation for this asshole. Their numbers are not representative as they don't have any lives and or on welfare. Is this true? Is this true, or is Dr. Bob a retard? You let me know in the chat. 1 in the chat if this is 2, 2 in the chat if Dr. Bob is a retard. If we get more 2s than we get 1s, Dr. Bob is permanently banned.
International Union and Becky Pringle, the president of the National Education Association. Y'all show some love to April and Becky. April, I want to start with you. Can you tell us where we stand, what it means to your base, and what should we be doing in the conditions that we're currently in?
Certainly. So thank you, Ash. And it's always amazing to be standing with my sister, Becky Pringle. But I just want to first say good evening. And I'm really grateful to be in this space with all of you here on behalf of the 2 million members, the 2 million service and care workers that are united in SEIU. And I know that I'm sure of the 140,000 number, many SEIU members and staff on this call. And every opportunity I have to thank and talk about how proud I am of the way our union showed up, I'm going to do it. So thank y'all that are on this call for the monumental work that you did in this election. And along with many partners and allies who are also on the call, we reached more than 7 million voters in this cycle in 12 different languages. And to your question, Ash, SEIU, and I believe all of us are not defeated, but we are determined and we are defiant. And we are vowing that we are not going to back down. The election outcomes doesn't change the mission that we have in SEIU, nor does it change the vision that working people have. It doesn't change our hopes and dreams, right? It doesn't change that life is too damn hard for so many of us. And so we remain united with and for and to one another and to building a healthy, joyful, and prosperous future for everyone. And we know that building cross-racial solidarity, not letting any racism or sexism or fear or white supremacy or misogyny or toxic masculinity or any of the things that reared their ugly heads in this election it's not going to stop us from building cross-racial solidarity or creating a labor movement, a workers movement that is inclusive, that is 21st century, that is innovative, that is younger and hipper and fresher and queerer and ready to take on the challenges of the 21st century. And that labor movement must be multiracial and multi-generational and multilingual, and it must achieve enough power in order to win unions for all. And so that remains our rallying cry, that remains our mission. And we're going to continue to build political power. We're going to continue to build worker power in any way we can. It doesn't matter like who controls the U.S. Senate or who controls the U.S. House or who controls the president. None of that will stand in our way, along with all of you all of building worker power. And as hard as a lot of what we learned over the last couple of days as the results of this election was really dark and dreary, there are rays of light, like gig workers in Massachusetts, rideshare drivers who won their right to form a union by ballot initiative in order to improve standards and pay across the industry. The first type of collective bargaining rights to be won for rideshare drivers in the country. That is a ray of light. It is a ray of hope for the type of labor movement that we must build. Those gig and rideshare drivers are not stopping because Donald Trump was elected to be president, and they're ready to take on Uber and Lyft. Voters in Missouri, Representative Jayapal forecasted this. Voters in Missouri passed the new minimum wage in that state of $15 an hour. They also won paid sick days. Again, a ray of light. And we've seen this before in 2020 when Florida went for Trump, but they also passed a minimum wage increase, right? Because people still want and need higher wages, and they want access to reproductive care. People want good jobs, and they want to be able to afford groceries and the rent, and they want to be able to send their children to safe schools and live in healthy, safe communities and live peaceful, joyful lives. People, no matter what political party they in, want and need access to care, right? Our fight to build the care infrastructure we want and need does not stop. Whether it's childcare or elder care or care for our loved ones with disabilities, and making sure that those who provide the care can they themselves lead and live healthy, joyful lives where they thrive and not just have to struggle to get by. And all of this requires building worker power, right? There is no healthy, thriving democracy without a healthy, thriving worker movement, without, elected champions who stand for the rights for workers to come together and organize, like Representative Jayapal, like Representative Raskin, and so many folks that the Working Families Party have helped to elect across the country. And we remain committed to making sure we write rules, right? We create new rules, new systems, new structures that actually uphold the rights for workers to come together, to make it easier for folks to join unions, to dismantle the systemic barriers that are today in place to that. And we must, in this moment, not back down from waging militant, disruptive organizing campaigns that create a clear contrast to those of us who have and those of us who don't, whether that is who have a share in our prosperity and those of us who don't, those of us who have our fair share of power and those of us who don't. So we are committed to waging these campaigns and hope to do so with many of you all. And we're not going to back down from creating a unified labor movement, right? And not just a movement that's unified around.
The unions are all socialists. Not everyone in a union is socialist, but all of the unions are socialists.
People, live full lives, and we need to be able to fight for people's full lives. And so SEIU is committed to using all of our power to hold the line for working people across the country. We're committed to this fight. We're committed to all of you all. We're committed today, tomorrow, and for long as it takes. So thanks for having me.
President April Verrett of SEIU. Y'all give it up one time. And now we're going to move straight into President Becky Pringle from the National Education Association. President Pringle, I'll toss it to you.
Oh, Ash, thank you so much. It gives me
so much encouragement and joy to be in this space because I know we're going to win. We didn't win all the things on Tuesday, but ultimately we will. So where do we stand? So the NEA, 3 million members, 51 state affiliates, 14,000 locals are committed to continuing this fight. And we are doing it in partnership with other unions. April and I joined Lee Saunders at AFT and Randy Weingarten at AFT and Liz Schuler from the AFL-CIO in intentionally partnering in a powerful way throughout this election. And in so doing, while we didn't win every race, we built our collective muscle together. We've learned a lot, and we demonstrated that when we fight together, that we have impact. I want to caution folks, Ash. I want to caution against a couple of things. First of all, we have a lot of unpacking and assessments to do, and learning from the losses and from the wins. Both are important to learn from. And so I don't want people to rush to judgment. I don't want people listening to pundits who say we've lost working people. April and I, we're working people. We lead unions who are fighting for the rights of people who have dedicated their lives to service. For us, it means teachers and people who drive and feed our kids, people who don't make enough money, where they can only have one job. They have to have 2 and 3 jobs just to take care of their own families. These are working people, and we will continue to mobilize our communities over these next 4 years, whatever they bring. We saw issues on the ballot on Tuesday that we won. We won scores of ballot measures, from rejecting insidious voucher schemes to destroy our public schools. We beat back those voucher schemes in Kentucky and in Colorado and in Nebraska. We pushed back on standardized testing that particularly adversely impacts our students of color and our students with disabilities. We did that. We won that. In Massachusetts, we won our fights to invest in public education. North Dakota, where we defeated a proposed elimination of property taxes, and in Washington State, where we defeated the proposed repeal of the capital gains tax. We won in some places on protecting reproductive rights and raising, as April said, raising the minimum wage, creating paid sick leave. We saw time and time again voters making the right choices. So it's really important that we unpack those wins, even as we mount our resistance, because
you are not listening. All unions are socialist. All unions are designed to recruit for the left. It doesn't mean every person in a union is a socialist, but all unions are socialist. You need to wrap your head around this.
Will come, so much of that's contained in that.
No,
we already saw.
No, that is not accurate. No.
So we know what he will do and what he will ramp up.
Oh my fucking
And it will
God.
become clear to voters very soon. We know that those policies are designed to devastate working families and to attack their unions and to jeopardize our children's future. But we will use our organizing muscle. And we at the NEA, and I know are joined by our other labor unions, are organizing for power. For that, what that means for us is that we have ramped up our efforts to recruit and retain members, to engage them, to create the space for them to be empowered, to mobilize them in ways we haven't before, and this is really important, to deepen those partnerships and coalitions with our parents and families and allies.
Others have said that, Tuesday didn't change our values. They didn't change that. The results didn't change that. We know that our strategic vision at the NEA to reclaim public education as a common good, as a foundation of this or any democracy, and then to transform it into a racially and socially just and equitable system that prepares every student, everyone, to succeed in a diverse and interdependent world. That is still true. That didn't change. With the results of this election, we know that everyone benefits from a fair economy and from a stronger public education system. So our focus will be on promoting and protecting and strengthening public education. Our task remains empowering working people and advocating for our students and protecting the precious rights and institutions like public education, protecting the freedom to teach and the freedom to learn. We will not consent or concede to anything that threatens our democratic rights. When I first heard Stacey Abrams utter those words, those defiant words, I knew she was issuing a challenge to all of us. And those are the words that are in my heart, have been in my heart since the election results were announced. And so I want to say to my fellow resistance leaders, we must all channel our inner Stacey, knowing we have to fight every day for freedom and justice and fairness and for this democracy. We will not consent or concede to anything that threatens the safety of our students. We will not consent or concede to anything that threatens the rights that we hold dear. This is the work we have been called to do together. And I will always remind you that we are the ancestors of future generations, and we must do this work together in love and in power, because our children, our babies are depending on us to be worthy of them. Thank you, Ash, and all of you who have joined us here this evening.
Ooh, Becky Pring, we love you. We love you, April Verrett. Thank you so much for speaking a good word to our souls, to our hearts, to our minds. I want to just amplify a couple of things, and then I've got another announcement, friends. I want to amplify that there is no democracy without a powerful labor movement. You heard it from April Verrett. That powerful labor movement has to be unified, and these are two of the leaders that are making it so. These are two women that I'm telling you I trust with my life. You can follow them anywhere. So support SEIU, support NEA, support all of the other labor unions that you've heard shouted out on this call. I want to remind you of what April said, that we have to assess and learn from our losses and our wins, y'all. That Tuesday was not just a series of losses. We won some stuff too. Y'all know about Summer Lee, right? Y'all know about Latifah Simon. I could call a roll, honey. We won some things too. And we definitely built.
Guys, the Department of Education being defunded, if that even happens, will not impact the teachers' unions at all in any way. It will make absolutely no difference. And people need to understand that. The defunding of the Department of Education solves no real actual problems.
You know, folks on
Beyonce's
internet
do it, but it's not going to
you
solve
were hearing
anything.
from trusted leaders right here, that whose organizations you could follow, whose social media you could add, right? These are folks that you should listen to. I want to remind you of what our beloved Becky Pringle just told us, that we've got to resist and organize for what? For power. For power, right? We're not just doing it because we want like a badge of honor or a pat on the back. We're doing this because we want to create the conditions that we never have to have a call like this again, right? We want to come together and reclaim public education as a common good, and we want to fight for a fair economy for all people. We won't concede or consent to anything that threatens our democratic rights or the safety and rights of our people. And I want to land it with what Becky Pringle said, that we are the ancestors of current and future generations of people. Let us earn the honor of being such a thing. All right. Y'all give it up one time for April Variant of SEIU and Becky Pringle of the National Education Association. I love you. We love you. Thank you for being on with us tonight. I've got an announcement, y'all. I've got an announcement. So I asked you to get us to 4,500 people interested in hosting a Worth Fighting For community gathering. I asked you to go to weareworthfightingfor.org and sign up to express your interest in hosting said gathering and to sign up an RSVP for the trainings that are going to start tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Well, y'all are already at 5,700 people, 5,700 people who are expressing interest in hosting a Worth Fighting For community gathering. And if that weren't enough to get me to be in a Baptist fit, which I would, I'd shout on this call. Don't tempt me. Y'all have already posted 23 events. Y'all have already, I told you just to express interest and y'all have already said, no, I'm doing this, Ash. So now there are 23 events, and I want to give some special love to some of the folks who have already put it out there. So if you are in Somerville, Massachusetts, shout out to you because you got a posted event.
Completely socialist.
If you're in Columbia, Missouri, or Silver Spring, Maryland, if you're in Churchville, Maryland, if you're in Dayton, Ohio, if you're in Painesville, if you're in San Francisco, California, if you're in Water Gap, Pennsylvania, or Providence, Rhode Island, if you were in Philly or Monroe, if you were in Portland, Oregon, or Denver, Colorado, if you were in Chi-Town, Illinois, or Benton Harbor, you all have already signed up. And literally, as I'm reading this, I'm getting text messages saying that we're up to 30. There's even more cities, towns, hoods, and hollers that have signed up and posted saying that you are going to host a We Are Worth Fighting For community event. Can we give it up one time to the people being ready to taking up, to understanding and knowing and accepting the assignment? We are not just going to sit in despair and grief on this call. We're going to be honest about it. We're going to be honest that we're devastated at this loss that we saw on Tuesday. We're going to be honest that we are anxious and concerned about what a Trump administration will mean to our people, but we're not going to be frozen. We're going to move together in solidarity and unity and love and hope and faith that our people are going to build the power that Becky and April were just talking about to see us through this 4 years and beyond it, so that we're never in these situations ever again. There are 5,700 people saying they are interested in hosting a gathering. There are 260 people signed up for tomorrow's training at 2 p.m. And there are now 30 posted events saying that we are going to come together because we are worth fighting for. Y'all, now that we're at 5,700 people, I'm going to ask us if we can get to 6,000 before the end of the call. Blow my mind, y'all. Blow my mind. Blow it out of the water. We got over 140,000 people registered for this call. We still got speakers left. So I want you to invite folks that haven't gotten on the call to come and stream it with us now. You can watch it on weareworthfightingfor.org. You can watch it on the work.
There is no conservative organization that can do this. They are doing this 2 days after losing the presidential election. They already had all this set up and ready to go because they knew it was going to happen. Literally no conservative organization can match this. Does everyone understand the situation? If conservatives sit back and they go, Trump won! We're winning! We're winning! Trump will save everyone, guys. Trump will save America. We won everything. We're winning. We don't need to do anything anymore. You are giving them 4 years of an open runway to get incredibly far ahead of you, and they're already outplaying you, and they've been outplaying you for 100 years. Does everyone understand the situation? Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? The fuck is your problem? Unbelievable. Unfucking believable.
and everybody who's teeing up to speak. And I know this is a really hard time for so many of us. I've spent weeks and months traveling all over this country, meeting many of you. I've seen
These
firsthand the
are
fighting spirit that we
progressive-
have
okay.
and the determination that we could.
Socialists are allowed to participate in capitalism as long as they are using capitalism to overthrow socialism. Additionally, many of these people do not own their home, they rent their home. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like to stop the entire presentation for? Get them in now. No, conservatives are not organized in the churches. No, they're not. No, they're not. Does anyone else have any other questions they'd like to stop the entire presentation for? Well, since I can't even get my own chat to listen to the presentation, I'm not sure that that's a good use of my time.
We are entering into a period in which billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos control the levers of power along with Donald Trump. They're attempting to claim the mantle of the little guy while cutting taxes for themselves and corporations. What they actually want is to divide working class people and build their own pathways to power. And this year, it worked. Trump grew his base of support among working people. We have a lot of work to do to figure out how to rebuild our majority. So I want to lay out a roadmap for everyone to consider about where we go.
No, you do not need to start community organizing on the conservative right. What you need to do is learn about the left. I'm responding to someone over on Rumble. You need to learn about the left. You need to unlearn everything you think you know about the left, because I promise you, you don't know shit. You need to learn about the left. You need to understand your enemy. If you jump right in to doing things like you think you're going to do community organizing when you have no fucking clue how to do it, you are not going to be effective. It is going to be a giant ass waste of time and resources. You need to slow down and learn about the left.
This is exactly why the Working Families Party was founded 26 years ago, with the goal to build a third force in American politics, a political party for, by, and of the working class. This is what we work towards every day. And I have never felt like our role was more important than when watching this year's election results come in. It's sorely needed if we're going to build a big enough majority to beat MAGA for good. After a hard defeat, it's easy to retreat and shut down. But let me tell you this. What Trump and the whole billionaire class wants most of all is for us to give up our power and to surrender to their attacks before they come to our doors. Their strongest weapon is your cynicism. If you think that you can't do anything that matters, you won't do anything that matters. Here's what we can expect. They will set fires to one part of our coalition or another to keep us running ragged and also keep us on the defensive instead of bringing the fight directly to them. We will not working class. We are going to need everyone on this call to be ready to operate outside your comfort zone.
Stop.
And build
What
connections with people who didn't vote the same way we did.
See, we're just gonna, why don't we just end the, why don't I just end the fucking stream? What I fucking said was, stop putting bullshit conservative talking points in my chat. I am never doing this publicly again. There will never be another public spy stream again. So if you want to come to tomorrow's spy stream, you need to sign up as a member on my Substack. You can become a member of the YouTube channel. You can become a member of my locals. You can become a subscriber on my Twitter. I am never doing this publicly again. This is a giant ass waste of our time. People are not listening. They're not fucking paying attention. They're putting conservative bullshit talking points in the chat. I am never doing spy stream publicly again. Thank you for this lesson.
are people like my aunties and my cousins and my mom, a retired union nurse? Where are the people that we met on the doors like the young...
These people are literally organizing thousands of people right in front of us right now, 2 days after the election. I can't even get people to sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and listen for a couple hours.
And away from his. There's a reason why this happened, and we need to be humble and curious as to why we got here in order to figure out where we're going. We are building the Working Families Party as a political force that is for, by, and of working class people of all races. First, we have to build a movement that is for working class people. Our friends, our aunties, our family members need to see what we are fighting for and with them. They need to see that we are going to listen to them and hear what's important, that we're coming with real ideas and real solutions and real plans, and that we are willing to go to the mat for them. This may be hard to imagine today, but I believe we are at the beginning of the end of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, because they don't actually have ideas that will help people, and it won't take long to see that the emperor has no clothes. But it will only work if we're clear in our vision of what exactly we're building and who we're building it for. Ashley talked about our need to build and rebuild our power. So I want to spend a few minutes getting more specific about what I think we need to be building. Not in just a couple of weeks or months, but as part of a generational project. That starts tonight with all of us here. It will start with the plans we make to fight back during Trump's first 100 days. It continues with our plans to block MAGA and win elections in 2026. And it is a long-term project as well, which I will get to in a second. To start us off, I want to offer a challenge to everyone listening in on this call. I think after this week, it's appropriate to ask some questions about how things are going and be ready to make some changes. I want you to imagine what becomes possible if the combined forces on this call, the 200 plus organizations that have co-sponsored this event, plus the tens and tens of thousands of you on this call, imagine what becomes possible if we collectively take charge. What if we are not just the door knockers or protesters? We're the ones running for office and designing the agenda and the campaign plans. What if we, everyone on this call, and our organizations and our movements are the ones governing? Imagine us building a multiracial, multi-party democracy where every loss for a Democrat doesn't automatically mean a gain for a Republican, and where the Working Families Party, for example, exists as a viable option for voters who aren't happy with either party in a way that adds, doesn't take away votes.
When he just said every loss for the Democrats doesn't mean a win for the Republicans, he means every loss for the Democrats means a win for the socialists, because that's what the Working Families Party is. It is a socialist party.
Fix people's lives. We can't do it without power. We can't do it without being serious about assembling electoral majorities.
No shit.
It is important to hold a vision of this in our minds as we talk about how to get there. But like Ash said, it is not just about having good ideas or even passing some of these good ideas into law. It is about how the things we do are perceived. So we need to pick smart fights. We need to divide the MAGA movement. Where we have power, we have to use it ruthlessly. We need to expose the con job that has many people signing up for a political movement that really only cares about one thing: tax cuts for the rich. We'll be leading the charge on things like affordable housing, higher wages, stable prices, climate action, investing in schools here, not expanding wars abroad like the ongoing wars in Lebanon and Gaza, and so much more. Next, we need to build a movement that is by working class people. This means developing working class leaders and candidates. It means working with our friends in the labor movement, and it means reaching people where they live and work and where they pray and where they dance. I am unsatisfied living in a country where the right wing is better at organizing people and communicating their shitty policy ideas.
They're not. They have to tell themselves they're losing.
If our idea of good work is to be content with getting our dozen best leaders and volunteers in a room over and over and calling it organizing, then I would challenge us that we need to do more. We need a political movement with many leaders who are capable of recruiting new leaders. We need leaders who act with the strategic mind and emotional intelligence to grow our movement at an exponential rate. So we're not just measuring our power in the dozens, but in the thousands, in the tens of thousands, in the hundreds of thousands, and in the millions. Which brings me to my last point. We need to build a movement that is made up of working class people. I have a vision of building a movement that is day in and day out winning the hearts and minds of working class people. These may not be people we have ever met. If we are doing our work, there will be way more people who are in motion with us than have ever come to one of our meetings.
Appreciate you.
The MAGA movement and their wealthy handlers and hangers-on is doing everything in their power to dilute the real power of the working class. Building a movement that is for, by, and of working class people is a generational project, but it's also a project that I truly believe within a few years or two can reshape and grow our coalition enough to beat MAGA for good. And we need everyone to play their highest purpose in it. If you have ever thought about running for office yourself, or if you know someone who should, or if you want to help elect the next generation of working class leaders up and down the ballot who are going to build that movement, please join us by texting JOIN to 30403. Text JOIN to 30403 if you want to be counted in that many. What we owe each other most of all is the truth. This will not be easy and it won't happen overnight, but I am hopeful for what we can accomplish together if we tell ourselves no lies and we claim no easy victories, and if we move with clarity and determination and always compassion and heart for one another. Thank you.
My brother said, tell no lies, claim no easy victories, y'all. If you want to be a part of the solution, the thing that breaks the back of the already broken two-party system that's actually working exactly as it was designed to, which is not in your best interest, I need you to do what my good brother said, and I need you to text JOIN to 30403. Can we show some love to Maurice Mitchell, the National Director of the Working Families Party? Thank you so much, my brother, for not regarding it robbery, to spend some time with us, to give some balm to our wounded spirits, and to give us this concrete call to action that we got to step up. We got to run for these seats. We got to make sure that we're putting people's champions in. We're setting agendas. Thank you for building. Thank you and your team for building a movement-centered party that prioritizes the needs and desires of working people. We love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Bless
y'all,
you.
I have an announcement. We now have 6,000 people who have expressed interest in hosting a We Are Worth Fighting For community meeting, a community gathering. Y'all have done it. We are at 6,000. We now have 50 posted events. So again, I asked you to express interest and you all one-up me and said, Ashley, let me show you. Let me be about it instead of just thinking about it. You've posted 50 events. I'm going to shout out some places. I already talked about San Francisco. LA was like, hold my beer, right? So now Los Angeles is in the game. We got Jacksonville, Florida in the building. We've got Atlanta, Georgia. We got Dalton, Georgia. We've got Evanston, Illinois. We've got, who else is up in here? We got Lewiston. We've got Boonton, New Jersey. I might be messing y'all stuff up, but Jersey's in the building. We got Ithaca, New York. We got Middletown, New York. Who else is on here? Oh, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the great state of Tennessee, the volunteer state. Nashville's in the building.
Do they look
Collierville's in the building. Gallatin has an event host.
Do they look upset? Do they look upset? What on earth makes you think they're upset? What on earth about any of this makes you think that they are upset? They're not upset. They don't look upset. They're not acting upset.
At the end of the call, y'all, y'all are showing out. Can you go to weareworthfightingfor.org? Sign up to express interest. Again, that doesn't commit you to hosting. You can just.
What about the chat makes you believe that they are upset? You guys, we can play this fucking game all night. You guys want to be fucking retards? We will play the fucking retard game. What about their chat makes you think that they are upset? What about the speakers make you believe that they are upset? We're playing the retard game tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are playing the retard game. What about this stream makes you believe they are upset? Can't just sit and listen. Gotta editorialize. Gotta get rid of that cognitive dissonance that's being created by knowing that even after the left loses a presidential election, they are still 8,000 times more effective than the right in organizing, and it's not even close. Literally, no one's doing that, Starbright. You are making shit up. You are making shit up that is not based in reality. Why the fuck? Why are we even continuing? I swear to God, this is so fucking ridiculous. This entire fucking stream, I cannot even. I cannot even.
With the mass calls, because I have learned a lot, and I really think people should.
Back to the retard game. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. They are doing this in response to Trump winning. They have been planning Trump to win for a while. They already had this set up for Trump to win. If Kamala had pulled it out, they would not be doing this right now. That is completely fucking untrue. You have no reason to think so. I have no reason to think so. You want to know why? Because they didn't do this the entire fucking time that in the last administration. Does anyone else want to keep being a retard in my chat? Go right ahead. Are we here to listen? Or are we here to make shit up that is not based in reality? Because if you want to make shit up that's not based in reality, you can go any other fucking place on the internet. Oh, well, tomorrow's stream is going to be members only. I am never doing a public spy stream again after this. I am legitimately never doing a public spy stream again. The public has ruined the public spy stream because the public doesn't want to fucking listen. Do you know who I know wants to fucking listen? The people who actually pay me money to do this. This has been one of the most disappointing experiences that I've had all God. In fact, I kind of just want to end the stream now. I don't even want to continue with this. I just want to end the stream now and go do something else because obviously no one's getting anything out of this. Even when they win the fucking presidency, the right still ends up fucking losing. The reason the right will always lose, The right will perpetually lose. It doesn't fucking matter what Trump does. It doesn't matter if they control the House and the Senate. It really doesn't fucking matter. The right is still going to lose over the next 4 years, and the left is still going to win because the left does this and the right does not.
Diana's. Fatima, I'm going to quickly toss it to you. Tell us what time it is and what we should know and be doing about what's happening to our people right now.
This has been literally the worst fucking spy
Thank you,
stream I've
Ashton.
ever
Thank
done.
you, Working
Literally the
Families
worst
Party.
fucking one.
This has
No,
given me
you
a
are
lot
not
of
getting
hope.
it.
I've been trying to figure out how to move people from despair to action, and the trainings and the events that are posting in real time. And it's a reminder that everyone is ready to show up. I just want to say a few things. The first, around the reminder that Biden is still the president. And one thing he can do before he leaves is confirm more judges. Part of the reason we have been in this situation with the law is that Trump confirmed 234 judges in his.
And you know what's going to happen after this? You know what's going to fucking happen? There are going to be clips of me going all around Twitter. Carlin's mean. Carlin's a narcissist. Carlin's a bully. And da 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 da. And that's what the story is going to be. That's what it is. But I promise everyone that's like, why is that bitch so mean? Why is she talking to her chat? Why is she doing this? Why is she doing this? And complaining, making shit up, complaining some more. I am a metric fuck ton nicer than these people are. I'm going to treat you a hell of a lot better than these people will. And I promise you that. It's not even close.
Thinking about how it is that they will run for Congress without Trump on the ballot. We will still have the judiciary, and getting more judges on the bench is going to be part of that path. And we still have the many other institutions that have to make the decision about whether they bow to him early. Every single step of the way, we have to make that difficult for them. Finally, we are protecting not only the fundamental institutions we have and the ability to be together, but it is our task every single day to protect those who are most at risk. And every day when I wake up, that is what is on my mind. Those who can't access abortion care that is health and life-saving, families who are at risk. So in your grief, as you move from your grief and your despair and your anger and your rage, it is my deep, deep hope that you put those stories front and center and that you rock with all of us in this next phase.
Fatima, we love you and we're so grateful for your leadership. Thank you for all the sacrifices that you and your family have made for us over the last forever. Thank you for being here. DeMario, I'm coming to you. What's going on with CPD?
What's up? It's Popular Democracy. Thanks, Ashley. I appreciate you so much. You the homie all day, every day. Thanks, Working Family Party, for putting this space together. At Popular Democracy, just to be clear who we are, we're 50 organizations in 35 states, DC and Puerto Rico. We are power building organizations. We believe that people power is the only power we're really going to be able to use to build the thing that gets us into the next part of our society here. You know, this year, as that network in battleground states, we knocked on 7 million doors. We had over 1 million conversations, and we brought in over 90,000 people into the organization membership pipeline. We talked about...
No, I will not ignore them. I will not ignore people who are coming in, not respecting the rules that I have laid down over and over and over and over and over again, not fucking listening, continuing to be disruptive, continuing to be idiotic. I will not do it. We have standards on this channel. If you cannot meet the standards on this channel, then you are not going to be effective in fighting back against the left. We do not ignore this shit. We call it out, and people will either adjust themselves to the standards of the channel or they will be banned, and that will be the way it is. You need to come to more of the socialism streams, and you'll learn to see it very, very quickly.
people, building relationship and trust with people. And that's the thing that's going to move us into the next iteration of our society, the place where we want to live, the place where we want to build. When we're talking about our work, we think about our work moving 7 generations. We think about the work we do today impacting 7 generations from now. And we invite everybody on this call to join organization, to build organization. Don't just be a part of a movement moment. Movements just raise issues. We have to build institutions if we want to go up against these corporations. And what we're saying to you all right now is that join, build something. So join this call, like learn how to build community, learn how to be in community, learn how to organize your friends and your family. And that's the way we're going to get out of this situation. And I also want to just invite people, because we're also having a call. There's a bunch of calls. I want to invite everybody to join something right now. We have a call tomorrow. It's if you go to popdemoc.org/post-election, there is another call. You should join the 2:00 call. We got a call at 8. There's actions tomorrow. I want to shout out the affiliates, Make the Road PA. I want to shout out TOP, if y'all on the call, and Georgia Black Male Initiative. And right here where I'm at right now, Lucha, Arizona. We love y'all work. We love what you're doing. Let's keep doing it. Thank you.
Yo, that's the fam. You just called the roll. Thank you, Demario. You just called the roll. Shout out to Lucha. Shout out to BMI. Shout out to all Make the Road, all of y'all that are doing life-saving work on the ground despite our grief, y'all. Like, not even despite, but because of it. Because we are grieving. We're not grieving just because we're mad at Trump. We're grieving because we love our people and we want our people to be safe and secure and treasured and valued, because they've always deserved it. Thank you, Demario, for the reminder that we got to build organization and be in a community with one another. We love you. Thank you. The next person I'm bringing up is Tarso Luis Ramos, our research expert on the far right. Tarso, what time is it on the clock in the United States, and what should our folks know about it?
Hey, Ash. Good evening, beautiful people. I'm the executive director of Political Research Associates, which is a research and strategy center that's been fighting supremacist and authoritarian movements for 40 years. It is good to be in community with all of you tonight. Shout out to Working Families Party for organizing this space and for everybody who's shown up. Never mind the first 100 days of a typical administration. In this situation, high tide might hit within the first 100 hours. So let's tell the truth about what we're heading into, right? We know that Donald J. Trump is prepared to order and immediately enforce a sweeping agenda of white supremacy, patriarchy, retribution, and the priorities of oligarchs, the super rich, the Elon Musk, the Peter Thiels. We take seriously and literally his declared intent to conduct mass deportations, concentrate power in the executive office, and pursue perceived internal enemies. Executive orders will get the most attention and will do real damage, but let's be prepared for actions coming from all levels of government and from militant MAGA street forces. We know, right? We know that the MAGA playbook, Project 2025, is a core part of Trump's authoritarian playbook. National abortion ban, erasure of trans people, and much more. For a deep dive on Project 2025, get informed. Check out our site, politicalresearch.org. So let's get information, right? We know that under autocratic regimes, strategy needs to shift. Mass, nonviolent, non-cooperation can over time drive defections from sectors of society without whose cooperation governments cannot function. Religious, labor, business, community, philanthropic, media, local governments, military, and others. A pro-democracy movement anchored by everyday working class people can build the broad front needed to block and build. Block the authoritarians and fascists and build enough power to usher in a new progressive cycle in US history. Action with others is the best antidote for despair. Every victory against oppression in the United States and anywhere else, abolition, civil rights, labor rights, human rights, gender justice, came from everyday working people rejecting isolation, refusing despair, and organizing to block supremacy and domination and build a more liberatory future. But this is only possible through organization and through well-informed strategy. So one, if you're not a member of a mass organization, join one now. There are many fine groups sponsoring this call. Join a union, join another mass organization. And secondly, we can't defeat an opponent we don't understand.
Yeah,
so
I wish the right
your
would know that.
resistance with an understanding of the MAGA coalition and its playbook. One place to start is with us at politicalresearch.org, but there are many other fine resources, and I know those are getting shared out. So the first 100 hours, the first 100 days, the next 10 years, and as most rightly spoken in this space, this is a generational struggle for transformational, multiracial, working class, and feminist democracy. Let's get in formation and block or build our way to a better world.
Y'all, can we give it up one time for Judith Brown Dianis from the Advancement Project, Fatima Goss Graves, President and CEO of the National Women's Law Center, Demario Cooper, Co-Director of Popular Democracy, and Tarso Luis Ramos, researcher and expert on the far right. We love y'all. They told us to get information, get informed, join an org. They told us that Biden can confirm more judges. YOLO, Joe. YOLO, Joe. Let's get this done, man. Like, let's protect what we can protect while we got the time to do it. Let's resist. Let's contend. Let's not make this easy for the people that want to destroy our communities and ways of living, loving each other. Now's our time to step it up. Now's our time to feel the grief, feel the rage, feel the sadness, feel the despair, and to put those energies into positive directions for the sake of our people to be the ancestors that future generations deserve. Now's the time. All right. I have an update and I have a next batch of speakers. Update. We're now at 68 hosted events. So yeah, I asked you to get to 50 and you blew it out of the water again. Can we get to 75 events before the end of the call? I know we're a couple of hours in, but y'all are still rocking with us. So we're going to keep giving you good content, good learning, good grounding, good balm for your soul and your heart and your mind, good direction, good calls to action. So we're at 68 events. Can we get to 75 before the end of the call? We also have 400 people signed up for the training that starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can we get to 450? Is it possible? Can y'all do that before the end of the call? I just want to see if it's possible to, over the next couple of speakers, get some more folks coming in. We still have tens of thousands of people streaming on the website, streaming on the YouTube channel, on the Working Families Party YouTube channel, on the Working Families Party Facebook page, and on Free Speech TV. Tell your folks we still here. I think a lot of people thought that they were going to miss the call because they had other events, but we still here and we still learning together. We still loving up on each other. We still cussing out all the ways that we got here and getting informed about what we got to do about it. So tell your people we still here. They can still join us. Make sure you're posting out that you are interested in hosting a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering and that other folks can do it too. This is your opportunity to not just talk about it, but to practice the values that we have. Well, I asked you if we could get to 450 people signed up for the training, but just in the time that I was talking, we are now at 500 people signed up for tomorrow's training. I asked you to get to 75 events from the 68 events posted when I first started talking, and we're already at 77 events posted. So I'm going to up that number. Can we get to 550 people signed up for tomorrow's training? And can we get, let's say to 80 events posted across the United States? I would love that. Y'all are killing the game. And when y'all get to 8, I'm getting told I need to ask for 100, but I'm gonna try to keep it low, see if we hit that, and then y'all keep blowing my mind. Y'all keep blowing my mind. All right, so the next panel are sisters who I love in life and in struggle. I get to bring to you Graysa Martinez Rosas. Some of the homies know her as G. She is the executive director of United We Dream. I get to bring to you Gerline M. Joseph, executive director of the life-saving organization, very literally, Haitian Bridge Alliance. And I get to bring my sister, Nana Gamfi, the executive director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. Some of y'all know Baji. So shout out to them, give them some love. Graysa, I'm gonna toss it to you first. Can you tell us what time it is on the clock of young, undocumented, badass organizers all across the country and what we should be doing to support that incredible work?
Solid as a rock,
rooted
like a tree. We are here, standing strong.
Why?
In our rightful place.
Why?
Buenas noches. My name is Graysa Martinez Rosas. I'm undocumented, unafraid, queer, and unashamed.
Can we deport
And I
this
serve as the
bitch?
executive director of United We Dream.
Deport,
We are 1.2 million young
deport,
people who are a force to
deport.
be reckoned with, and we are the proud members of the Working Families Party and the Rising Majority. So if you're ready to join our squad, I ask you to text unafraid to 78757. Text unafraid to 78757. And if you're ready to build the political party of our dreams, if you're ready to party with me, Ash, Mo, and the people that you've seen today, text join to 30403. Sisters, brothers, siblings, today I'm feeling rooted. I feel steadfast because I know that the members of United We Dream, we have always been fighting for one thing, which is a future where we all thrive. And that does not change because Donald Trump has won the election.
Copperhead.
That does not change even as he threatens to be a dictator and end the DACA program, to throw us into concentration camps and inflict mass deportation. And let me tell you why.
True.
Because when Trump separated our children from our families, when he raided our homes and enacted the Muslim ban and so much more in 2016, what did we do? We organized, we built power, and we catalyzed the movement across the country of working class, Black and brown, queer, undocumented AF leaders, ready to throw down, ready to move mountains to protect one another. And your existence today on this call, you showing up today, is a call to protest. Look at this power. All of these people, all of these events, all of these trainings, all of these actions. This is how we show up for each other today. It is all of us refusing to obey the voices that are telling us, it's over, don't even try, you can't even win. Do we believe them? Hell no. We refuse to retreat into a pit of despair. So this is a moment to lock in, to anchor ourselves to one another, to make a pledge to show up for one another. So here are 3 things that I need you to do tonight. The first, and I need you to show up and join the Here to Stay network of millions of Americans ready to show up for immigrant neighbors and friends. I need to show up and call for President Biden to use all of his power right now to protect immigrants and to be YOLO Joe. The second is to organize. I need you to join Lucha in Arizona, the New Mexico Dream Team in New Mexico, Drum in New York, and the many, many groups that are organizing today. And third, I want you to build hope and build power. The kind of hope that has dirt on her face, that has blood on her knuckles, grit of the cobblestones in her hair, and has just spat out a tooth as she rises for another go. The kind of power that belongs to the people and delivers the good. I know that we can deliver for that for our people, and I'm ready to do that with Nana, with Gerline, and with all the people on this call.
Yo, that's a whole word. I want to make sure we get the code right. Text unafraid to
78757.
78757. You're going to text unafraid to 78757, and you're going to text join to 30403. Y'all give it up one time for Graysa Martinez Rosas of United We Dream family. We love you. We are solid as a rock. We are rooted like a tree. We are here standing strong in our rightful place, and we will fight. We will build. We will love with our immigrant family until we see it done. Y'all, next I'm going to bring up Gerline Joseph, the executive director of the Haitian Bridge Alliance. Sister, tell me something.
Oh, God.
Hello, beloved. Hello,
God.
family. What an honor to be with you today. I am
More
energized.
Haitians.
I am ready to go. I have fastened my seatbelt tight to the point where I am not able to move but ready for the fight ahead.
Can we send her
When
back
we
to Haiti?
fasten our seatbelt to protect vulnerable communities, and we will continue to go above ground. Our ancestors built underground railroad. It is our call to build above ground bridges and railroad so we can move forward. Understanding that as we build those bridges, we are undeterred and fiercely committed to push back against vile, diversive, and extremely dehumanizing narratives. We all saw what happened in Springfield, Ohio. And we did stand up, and we filed criminal charges against both Trump and Vance. As a result, we became a target where both the community, organization, and myself became a target of white supremacists. But guess what? That fear did not even penetrate because we understood that we had lives in the balance. And as a proud Haitian American woman, we clearly know that when they come for one, they come for all of us.
Yes, let's get them all out. No more Haitians.
This force of
No
freedom
more
and liberation
Haitians.
that we carry around the world is what keeps us pushing.
America
This is an
is not
opportunity
Haiti.
for us to activate our collective power to stop this mass deportation of our farm workers, of our taxi drivers, our nurses, our doctors. One thing that COVID showed us is that immigrants are essential.
No.
And we must continue to highlight that. So from the streets to the court, we are going to move forward justice, love, dignity, and compassion. Beloved, understand that our very existence is an act of resistance. I will repeat, our very existence is an act of resistance. So we owe it to our ancestors, we owe it to our future generations to keep pushing against white supremacists, against xenophobic ideologies, so that we can come together. Because 2024 really showed us what these Americas are made of. Let's gear up to push back, because 2028 is coming and we must flip. We must flip the table and we must move forward. Thank you so much, beloved, for having me. And as we say in Haitian Creole, un pile main, chay palou.
Go
Many
back to
hands
Haiti.
lighten the load.
Thank you, beloved. We are so grateful for you and your life-saving work. Thank you for being here. Nana, I'm coming to you next. Tell us what's going on with the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. What's going on with your base, and how can we support your work?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So glad to be on here with you, Ash, and so glad to be here with our family. I can taste the delicious sweetness of our collective present and future victories. Almost as good as jollof rice. Huh? It tastes delicious to my mouth. And I know that we are all going to participate in the buffet of the victory that we have for our people and for the planet. I'm so pleased to be here and to bring love, peace, power, and joy from your comrades at BAJI, the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, that you can hit up. We ain't got a text, just go straight to us, BAJI.org. You can also follow us at InstaBaji on Instagram and connect up with us. We're a national organization. We fight for the rights of Black migrants and African Americans by advancing racial justice and migrant rights, because they are connected. Black migrants are disproportionately harmed by the criminalization and immigration enforcement systems, and our folks understand there is a special target on Black migrants when it comes to immigration policy, and particularly with the MAGAites who insist on holding up Black migrants as the example of all that is savage, of all that is criminal, and all that is not human. And yet, we've learned from the last time. That's what's one of the most fabulous things is that we have been through this before. We know about the chaotic and violent harm that Trump and MAGA bring. We understand that we know how to deal with it, and that the power that we have is in our collective work. That happens on the ground, in the streets, in the council halls, in the congressional halls, in the courtrooms, everywhere that our bodies can be found. We need to continue to intensify the building of the powerful movement that meets this transformative moment. Here are a few things that we know we need to do to fulfill this sacred duty that we've been describing, to meet the moment that we're facing right now. Firstly, we need to move our values and our demands from powerful movement narratives to build powerful community knowings. We got to get this stuff off the temporary file. Somehow it gets into the junk mail and it's going out with the trash. We need this to be on the permanent hard drives, that we are human beings, that our collective love and our collective power is important, and that we are going to be able to build that only with each other. And we do that by intensifying our relationships and building legitimacy with the people, This whole piece of MAGA that is about attacking us and our legitimacy, making it seem like we're the frauds from the blaxploitation movie of the 70s, we've got to push back against that and make it clear with our people who we are and have them standing next to us. And then, as folks have said, we have to build the power and wield the power, not just have it, but wield it to dismantle all that harms us and to build what we know we need and deserve. We are so looking forward. I am so looking forward to throwing down with every single person here, all the people that are watching and streaming, all the people that have already said they're doing trainings and workshops and gatherings. This is wonderful. We are going to win. It is already ordained. And what a time to be alive, to be a part of the transformative crew that's moving us into a whole new world. Thank you, Ash.
Yo, I'm overwhelmed. Gracia, Gerlene, Nana, I love you. We love you. Thank you so much for your individual sacrifices and contributions. Thank you to your members, your organizations. We love y'all. Thank you for being here. Y'all, I have an announcement, and then we're going to keep it pushing. I asked you to get us from 68 events to 75. We are at 83 posted events now. I'm going to ask us to beat that number. Can we get to 90 before the end of the call? I told you we had 400 people signed up for training. And I asked you if we could get to 450. We are at 586 people who are signed up for tomorrow's training at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to see if we can hit 600 before the end of the call. Y'all, we have 7,000 people who have expressed interest in hosting We Are Worth Fighting For community gatherings. I'm going to see if we can get just a little bit more. Can we hit 7,500? If we don't, it's cool. We've already done incredible work tonight, but can we push it? Can we beat this 7,000 number and get a little higher than that? I'm going to give you a check-in after we do the next several speakers. Y'all, the next folks that I get to bring up are doing life-saving work all across the country. The first person that I get to bring up is my best friend, M. Adams, the co-executive director of M4BL, the Movement for Black Lives Action crew. Abbas from, y'all know Abbas, because y'all seen his face all over the TV, all over the internet, people talking wild about my brother and their organization and the folks that they rock with. But I can tell you on my own integrity, the uncommitted national movement is the truth, and Abbas is the truth amongst them. Give some love to M and Abbas. I get to bring up my fam, Mohan, the executive director of Asian Pacific Islander Political Alliance. Y'all might know them as APIPA. They've been throwing down all cycle. And my sister in the game, Erin Heaney, the director of Showing Up for Racial Justice. Y'all show some love to these incredible movement leaders. And I'm going to start with you. Tell me what's going on at M4BL Action post the election and what you all need us to know in terms of how we can be actively in support.
Thanks a lot for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Shout out to WFP and all the incredible panelists before me. I should say that I'm a proud member of WFP, and I hope everybody on this call is. And if you ain't, get with it. Join the people's team. Yeah. So I want to say a couple of things. Bill.
You're right.
Like everyone else who spoke, I'm quite confident that we're going to win. Ultimately, I'm quite confident that we're going to bring about the future that we deserve. And it's going to happen through a broad, multiracial, multigender, multigenerational working class movement. But to be clear, that movement must be feminist. And so I'm here to speak about building power that is feminist power. When we are in the process of building a feminist movement and feminist power, it is one that takes seriously and consciously the dynamics of gender, race, class, disability, documentation, and several other important aspects of our identities that matter. If we are telling the truth, if we are willing to tell the truth about what happened, part of what happened is they used patriarchy and misogyny against us.
Stop owning
They used
the
old,
fucking
archaic ideas of gender that, quite frankly, never.
Stop. I don't want to see any. Do you think that they do this at leftist events? No. Now I'm going to tell you exactly what they do at leftist events. They welcome everyone. They don't comment on their looks. They don't comment on their weight. They welcome everyone. You want to know one of the reasons why they're so good at recruiting and you guys aren't? Because you do this. You do this. You're getting a timeout. Do not do that again. Ever.
do. Not
Oh
only are
my
we going to
fucking
outwork them on
God.
the polls and outwork them in other sectors and areas, but we are going to outwork them in the community. Our movement must deliver real material wins to the community. And so we will not be people who talk a good game. We ain't just going to sit back and say this, that, and point our
You
fingers.
know how
We are
stupid
going
you
to be
sound. Do you have
people
any
who model
idea?
what the new world should be. When we are every day out there talking to
Any
our folks
idea?
about the issues, we are every day practicing what it means to work on those issues and create the world that we want. And so we are going to be serious, rigorous, and follow the lineage, and at least I am going to follow the lineage of radical Black feminists. I'm going to think about the work of Harriet Tubman that fought in every single sector and arena. I am going to think about the work of—
Do you know what I think is funny? You just got banned. Ha ha. That's really funny, isn't it? Ha ha. Totally funny, bro. Ha ha.
the conditions of Black people. And so we need to be just as serious and just as rigorous in building this serious, multiracial, multigender, intergenerational working class movement. And I believe that we can do it. And I'm really excited to be a member of the Working Families Party that helps to do it. Also, if you are down and want to follow M4BL and the incredible work we're doing in communities, get down with some Black-led organizations, you can text 90975 90975 with the word join, and we would love to have you. Thanks.
You heard it. Join the movement for Black Lives by texting join to 90975. Abbas, come on in the room, brother. We're sending you and Uncommitted so much love. Thank you for the history you've made. Thank you for the sacrifices you made. Thank you for the fights you've been in on all of our behalf and for all of our people. Abbas, we're kicking it to you next.
Thank you so much, Ash, and thank you everyone on this call. My name is Abbas. I'm honored to be joining you as a co-founder of the Uncommitted National Movement, as a proud member of the Working Families Party. I'm proud to help lead Uncommitted in our anti-war movement that's doing everything in our power to save our loved ones' lives in Palestine, free Palestine, and in Lebanon, while we're also trying to convince Democratic leaders, we've been trying to convince Democratic leaders to align with the majority of voters who overwhelmingly agree we've got to stop sending bombs to an Israeli military that is hell-bent on perpetuating an illegal—
Nathaniel. That's super generous, Nathaniel. You were already very generous earlier. I appreciate you. I just wish that people would take this seriously. This is the problem. I wish that people will take this seriously. But they won't. And it's like, there's nothing that I can do. Except for ban them from my chat and never allow them back. But Nathaniel, that's very, very generous. I appreciate it. You've already been so generous earlier today. Thank you, bro.
Listen to us on Gaza policy and so much else that we love and care about? The answer to me feels pretty clear, that the corporate Democrats are making terrible decision after terrible decision on our behalf, on behalf of the rest of us. And they're putting the billionaire donor class over the big and beautiful working class. And what do we got to do about it? Well, we got to look at what's about to happen. Netanyahu's about to accelerate his ethnic cleansing campaign over the next 2 months. And that campaign will continue as Trump comes into office and then puts into motion his plan. He has a plan to target, suppress, and criminalize our pro-peace, pro-Palestinian human rights organizing. And that's why we've got to do something right now. We've got to push Biden right now. We've got to push Biden to stop sending Netanyahu weapons. So that's why our anti-war movement's demands remain clear. It's always been not another bomb. It's not another bomb for the next 2 months while Biden is in there, YOLO Joe. And it'll continue to be not another bomb when the twice impeached former and future white supremacist in chief and his white supremacist cronies get back into the Oval Office. So right now, it hurts. Let's recommit to our organizing, sign our petition for an arms embargo at notanotherbomb.com, and join the future WFP mass calls, y'all. Don't forget to text mass call to 30403 that's 30403 to RSVP to calls like this so that we can keep taking action, so that we can take power away from the corporate political actors and place it where it belongs, in the hands and the hearts of the working class, not the political donor class. Appreciate you all.
Abbas, we love you. We love you. We love you. We are committed. We are in it to win it with you. I want you to make sure to go to notanotherbomb.com. We're going to see this work through. We're going to see it done. And remember to text mass call to 30403. So I got another announcement. We've got a whole bunch of people signing up for the training tomorrow. I asked you to get us up, and now we're at 600 people. So yeah, over 600. I just got a text. We're over 600 people now. Y'all, I want you to see on the bottom of your screen where it says www.weareworthfightingfor.org. I want you to go to that link if you're not already watching from that page. At the top of that website, you can indicate your interest and you'll receive follow-up information on trainings and other resources. We've seen a bunch of people in the chats asking, how do you get access to the training? Well, you go to weareworthfightingfor.org. You go to the top of that web page where you can indicate your interest, and we will follow up with information on the trainings and other resources. Again, I want to remind you that signing up on the website does not commit you to hosting a meeting or a community gathering, but it does get you on the list to find out about the trainings about hosting your own. The first training, again, is tomorrow at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So go sign up. And you can find out about meetings that are going on for many of the organizations that you've heard from tonight. So you can get plugged in directly with them. So go to the website that you can see on your screen and get plugged in. Again, I want to show some love to Abbas and M. Adams. Thank y'all so much for being here with us. Mohan, you are up. Shout out to the incredible work that y'all have been doing in and out of cycle with Asian Pacific Islander Political Alliance. Tell me what's going on the ground post-election and what we can do to support your work.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here with my family at WFP. I'm a proud member and a proud member of the state committee of WFP.
What makes you think they're feeling low? We did this earlier. We can do this again. What makes you think they are feeling low? Are they feeling low? Do they look like they're feeling low? Does the chat look like they're feeling low? What makes you think they are feeling low?
Do this, but we can't do this alone. It's about to be a tough year for Asian America. We have no optimism, as you just heard, that Trump is going to be any better on war and genocide than the Biden administration, and he will be even worse on mass deportations of immigrants and refugees, ripping families.
What about their behavior makes you think they are feeling low? Are they acting like people who feel low? Are they organizing like people who feel low? Are they chatting like people who feel low? I just cannot even. I cannot.
Our communities will be shoulder to shoulder with everyone else in this. It's going to be an exhausting fight, but it's one that we can win. So to my Asian American siblings on this call, my ask for you is this: join WFP. But then, if you're not already part of an Asian American organization that is intergenerational and rooted in our community, that builds power and organizes around our self-interest, join one. You can go to aapowernetwork.org to find our political homes all across the country.
This is exactly
Trump
what's
and his
going on
right-wing
right now. This is
cronies
exactly
have
what's
made
going
it clear
on.
that they have no interest in our communities.
If conservatives would just stop engaging in fucking clickbait, why are you still arguing with me? Why are you still arguing with me, Teresa? You know what? This is turning into a really nasty problem with you because I'm finding that you don't know the answer to questions that you should damn well know the answer to given how long you've been watching my streams. And now you're saying stuff like this and now you're arguing with me and most of the chat at the same time when we've given you the answer several times and you're not fucking listening. So why aren't you fucking listening? If conservatives would just stop engaging with bullshit clickbait on Twitter, most of these problems would be solved. I promise you. Thank you, Rottweiler, for the super chat. I appreciate it.
So much for the ways that you stood up and fought. We love you. We're in it to win it with you. Thank you for being here. Aaron Heaney, I'm bringing you up. So, you know, lots of people got a lot to say about what white people did and didn't do. right? And I know for a fact that showing up for racial justice did everything in their
Clearly,
power
Teresa can be-
to
not be
organize
allowed to
white
talk
folks,
tonight.
especially white working class folks, to vote in their best interests. And so I want you to talk to me. Like, what are you hearing from our folks in your base post-election? And what do we need to know about what white folks are doing to organize their own people?
Wow.
Thanks, Ash. Good to be with everyone tonight. I'm the director of Showing Up for Racial Justice, and we are proud members
Socialist
of the Working
organization.
Families Party. Here's what we know, Ash. White rage is lethal to democracy, and if we are not organizing white people around their suffering, someone else is. And the right has been organizing white people for a very long time. And as a result, Democrats have been bleeding working class voters for decades now. And it started with my folks, right? Working class white folks. Our opposition knows that they have to keep white people silent, separated, or antagonistic towards movements for justice, multiracial movements for justice that are fighting for a better world and always have for all of us, right? They have preyed on the suffering of our people and offered a vision and a path to power, but one that is built on white supremacy, patriarchy, and misogyny. And so at Surge, we're going toe-to-toe with the opposition to contend for working class people, right? And at Surge, we have a very specific role. I think Mo said earlier, we need to figure out what our lane is and play it with excellence. Our lane is focused on organizing white people because we understand how the right has preyed on the pain of our people and sold them a bullshit lie that whiteness and racism will solve the very real suffering in our lives, right? And so we are working to organize white people into solidarity with working people of all races and to understand and feel deeply our shared stake in fighting together for what we need and against racism, right? And to help those of us who are white understand we get the things we need in our lives, not by aligning ourselves with rich white people at the top like Trump, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, but through solidarity with other working people here and abroad. So we are not conceding our people to white supremacy. We're fighting for our people to grow a bigger movement so we can win governing power, y'all, for working people through elections, because we understand that elections have consequences. That's why we're all here on this call tonight. And the Democrats failed to deliver a winning strategy. So we've got to take it into our own hands, right? The two-party system failed us, and that's why we are such proud members of the Working Families Party, right? And why we are committed to building a non-delusional, non-marginal third party in this country. And so if you want to join us in organizing white people away from the right, go to surge, surj.org. And if you want to see information, please continue to join the Working Families Party's mass calls. Text mass call to 30403 to stick with us for the long haul. Thanks, y'all.
Oh my God.
Aaron, we love you. Thank you so much for the work of showing up for
That
racial
was
justice.
something
We love and
else.
appreciate y'all.
That
Give it
was
up one time for M.
something
Adams,
else.
Abbas, Mohan, and Aaron. We love y'all. Thank you so much for being on with us tonight. We are going to keep it steady pushing, y'all. We're at 86
Welcome,
events
Laura.
now.
Appreciate you
Can we
being
get to
here.
90? Can we do it?
Everyone welcome
And the
Laura,
thousands
please.
of you that are still watching sign up. I'm just going to also put this out there. Every speaker signed up to express their interest in hosting a community gathering because our people are worth fighting for. We are worth fighting for. We would probably get to that 100 mark of folks posting events. So I'm going to ask our speakers, the 200 plus organizational co-sponsors, if members of those organizations in every place that we are around this country signed up right now to express our interest in hosting a We Are Worth Fighting For community event, we'd blow it out of the water, y'all. So can we get to 90? We're at 86 events right now. Can we get 4 more before the end of the call? Next, I'm going to throw it to some folks that are fighting for our body autonomy all across this country. Folks that are fighting for reproductive justice, folks that are fighting for mamas and babies, folks that are fighting for our childbearing people, all of our people
don't know how much more I can
across issue area and sector around racial justice, around gender justice, so much more. So the next few speakers I'm going to bring to you are Monica Simpson, one of the most badass reproductive justice advocates in the game. I'm going to bring up Dom Kelly, my homie, my comrade, the co-founder, president, and CEO. The homie got 3 jobs at New Disabled South. And I'm going to bring up my comrade, my OG, my sister, Monifa Bandele, the Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer at Moms Rising.
I know her.
Monica, Dom, Monifa, I love you. Monica, we're going to kick it off with you. Tell me what's going on
Thanks,
with
Real Deal. Appreciate
reproductive
you.
justice in this moment post-election and what we can be doing to support your work.
Peace. Thanks, Ash. And thank you to everybody that's on this call. It's been a long night, but a powerful one that my soul needed. I'm very grateful to be in partnership in this work with each and every one of you. And the ones I don't know, I'm excited to be in the work with you too. But I will also say, for real, like, the emotions have been going all over the place. But one of the things that I got resolute about today is that, the world, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me.
Yeah,
and these election results and all of this other stuff sure as hell ain't going to take it away.
For people who are new here, they say this all the time. I really encourage everyone to come back for my normal socialism streams. I'm going to be off next week for vacation, but we will be resuming them the week following. And I encourage everyone to come back for the real socialism streams. They say this stuff all the time.
We know it was one of the major points of this year's election.
And I probably won't be yelling as much, but I make no guarantees.
So much was being at stake. What I also want to make mention of is that although we were looking at a very bleak picture after we saw the fall of Roe with the Dobbs decision, we saw that then pushed us forward into an abortion ban fury across this country that we now have seen taking the lives of
These are from all different groups, so different groups are going to have different things, but most of these people are probably Marxist-Leninists. Probably. I don't know that for sure, but most U.S. socialists are.
Who were documented to have died from abortion bans in this country. Also, Jocelyn Barnica and Nevaeh Kane. These are new deaths that we have now been able to uplift out of Texas, y'all, and there are probably more that we have yet to name. What I do know is that their deaths were preventable and that they should be here with us today. We know that Project 2025 is real. We know that Roe was never enough. We also know that our silos have never saved us, and we must now know that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. When we look at what's at stake right now, we are dealing with a country where nearly half, if not almost all of this country is fighting an abortion ban or some type of abortion restriction, right? We also know that we did have some victories this election season. We got to give love to where the victories are coming from, because there were many states like New York, Colorado, Missouri, Maryland that did protect abortion access, and that was from the people. Right. So what we do know is that the people want and need abortion access and not bans.
Rumble, I appreciate
so we also know that we're in the midst of a maternal health crisis in this country. And we know that Black women are continuing to bear the brunt of that, them dying 3 to 4 times more higher than white women in childbirth. And that looks different across different states. We know that we don't have comprehensive sex education in this country, but yet a sexual predator gets to potentially hold the highest office in this country. There is a problem there. We know that queer and transphobia is taking the lives of too many beautiful souls too soon. And this is why Black women created reproductive justice 30 years ago.
Thank you for the
because
sticker.
they knew
I appreciate
that
you.
what Audre Lorde taught us, we can't have single issue movements because we do not live single issue lives, was real for us. So can we say trust Black women? I know we can't talk to each other on this thing, but I need y'all to understand that we must trust Black women, because Black women be knowing. And we got the historical receipts to continue to show that over and over again. But for those who may be new to what reproductive justice is, it is a movement and a framework that is about the human right to bodily autonomy, to have children in the ways that we want, to prevent pregnancies without shame, but with dignity, and to be able to parent our children in healthy and safe environments. So I believe that this intersectional, human rights-based, Black feminist-rooted movement and framework gives us the blueprint for this political moment. But I also want to make something really clear that's really important to us as a reproductive justice movement, because this is what we see. Our work is so deeply run by stigma and all of these narratives that get pushed into our communities. And we saw this in this election season. Our opposition was intentional and, dare I say strategic about making sure they pushed sexist, racist, divisive, sexist narratives and propaganda into our communities. And they want to do that to create a culture of confusion and fear. They wanted to do that to keep us in defensive posture. They wanted to do that to keep us fighting each other. And we can see how all of this played out in this election. But let me tell you what that leads to. This type of propaganda turned into legislation. That legislation turned into court cases. Court cases then turned into Supreme Court battles that ultimately reversed Roe v. Wade, rolled back voting rights, dismantled affirmative action, all of which happened under a president that will now potentially be returning back to office, right? I still keep saying potentially because there's a piece of my heart that don't want this to happen. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So I know that we must fight. I am clear
Wow.
that
How
we
does she
must
expect
fight.
that
We
not
know
to
that we
happen?
have to do that together. But I also know that this is not just a political fight that we are in. This is a fight that we must demand that we have to shift the culture. What our opposition knows is that what they have against us is that policy change is only cannot be sustained without culture shift. And so what is also really needed in this moment is for us to figure out how do we take our power back of our own culture, because we are the experts and the architects of our culture. How do we start to wield that and use that for us in order to build our collective power, to build our strength at our intersections, and then be able to shift our narratives in the ways that they need to be in order for us to engage our communities in deeper ways. That's what we're doing in RJ. That's what we're doing, and we're committed to doing, is making sure that our people can see themselves, their stories are seen, that they're able to understand that they can have the space to be able to bring their stories to the forefront, because that is what's going to get us to shift us out of this moment that we're in. But our people have to see themselves reflected. So I will leave y'all with these two calls to action. One, we want you all to, the doors of the reproductive justice movement is open. Good people, they've been open and they are wide open for you all. We are a membership organization. You can get down with us, and there are many other powerful reproductive justice organizations all across this country for you to get down with. You can find out more about that work at sistersong_WOC on Instagram and also our website. But I also want you all to also get tapped into our Trust Black Women work. Our Trust Black Women campaign is a national campaign working to bring a national coalition of Black women-led organizations and Black people who are committed to reproductive justice to be a united front against any attack on our reproductive lives and our leadership. Good folks, so we got good things for you to get tapped into. The fight will be long, but we know that we are prepared because we have been given everything that we need to be able to act, to be activated in this moment. And the only thing that we have to lose by us working together to do this, like for real this time, y'all, not just because we say that we want to do it, but that we really going to do it, meaning that we're going to put ourselves in those positions to meet the people that we ain't met yet, to have the hard conversations, to be in principled struggle, to do everything that we got to do to make sure that we are moving in the ways that we need to, because the only thing that we have to lose by doing that is our chains, good people, in the words of Asada Shakur. So thank y'all for having me on. I'm excited to do this work. I'm ready to do this work with each and every one of you. And let's make sure that we are keeping our work together so that we can build the future that we all deserve. Peace and love, everybody. I thank you for having me on tonight.
Monica Simpson, I love you with my whole heart. We love you. I heard Monica tell us that trusting Black women is a doing thing. And if you want to know more about it, you can check out the hashtag Trust Black Women. You also can join reproductive justice organizations and be about the work. You can learn more about that by going on socials and going to @sistersong_WOC. Thank you, Monica Simpson.
We've looked into that
Dom
before.
Kelly, badass musician, activist, organizer, co-founder, president, and CEO of New Disabled South. Tell us what's going on with our disability justice
studies.
movement
Are they
post-election
gonna have
and
a
what
fat
our people
studies
should know
person?
and be doing about it.
That'd be pretty great.
Well, Ash, first of all, I love you and I love WFP. I'm a longtime dues paying member. I just feel so honored and privileged to be here with you all tonight. I founded New Disabled South and New Disabled South Rising because I believe in a South, in a country, in a world where liberation for all disabled people is possible. This is a moment that calls for solidarity. And let me just tell you what disabled people are facing right now. There's 61 million of us in the United States. Tens of millions more have been added to our community since the start of COVID. Our community lives in poverty, twice the rate of non-disabled people. That number increases if you're Black or brown or queer. Disabled people can still legally be paid pennies per hour in this country. Millions of disabled folks don't have health care. Black disabled folks are killed by the state every day. Mask bans are putting our most vulnerable, disabled, and chronically ill comrades at risk of death. Trans youth are having their care taken away because of the weaponization of disability by the right. Our leaders are funding a mass disabling event in Palestine and Lebanon. The list goes on. But I know that we can do better for disabled people around the world, and I know that we can win. If every single person on this call acted in solidarity with disabled people, we would win. And we know that there's no collective liberation without disabled freedom. We know what the right's
There's
going to
no
do because they've
collective
told us.
liberation
So when
without
Trump and
disabled
his ilk
freedom.
go after the Americans with Disabilities Act, we need you with us.
Everyone knows what that
When
means,
Trump
right?
goes after Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, we need you. When disabled people die because Trump makes sure they can't get an abortion, we need you. We need you when he goes after the IDEA, Medicare and Medicaid, SNAP, TANF, the ACA, masks, clean air, vaccines. He's going to go after all of that. We need you with us. Organizers, we need you
Are
to practice
disabled people
disability
dying
justice.
en masse because
Make your
of
spaces
abortion?
accessible, help keep us safe by wearing a mask. And y'all, most importantly, we need you to be with us in the joy, because disabled people are always fighting, we're struggling, but we also know how to experience joy
Thank you for the
because
super
joy is
chat.
an act of resistance. We can defeat fascism, but we have to do it together. We have to build community, we have to act in solidarity. And there's no justice for anyone without disability justice. So if you're in the South or you're anywhere in this country and you want to get involved with us, you can go to newdisabledsouth.org/get-involved. You can find us on all the socials.
Perhaps if you
And I
came
really
to the
hope to
regular
see you in this
streams I
work with
did
us.
and
I would love
actually
to throw down
listened,
with
you
all
would
of you.
understand what's going
Thank
on
you,
right
Ash.
now. But
Thank
you don't. You just
WFP.
show up to own the libs, and I'm
Thank
getting
you,
really
Don,
sick
for
of it.
being an incredible leader of the Southern Freedom Movement. And thank you so much for the unbelievably amazing and life-saving work of New Disabled South. Monifa Bandele, I'm bringing it to you next. Thank you so much for being here. She is the Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer of Moms Rising. Monifa, tell us what's going on post-election and what we need to know and do about it.
Hey, thank you so much, Ash. Thank you, Working Families Party. I come to you representing Moms Rising, our 1 million members, and our 83,000 volunteers who sent 5 million mom-to-mom handwritten postcards, did 20 million plus mom-to-mom text messages, 1 million phone calls, and 2,300 GOT events this election cycle. We are out here. We are a real parent movement, not a fake parents' rights groups, like the ones I often refer to as the Daughters of the Confederacy, also known as the Project 2025 Coalition Partners, Moms for Liberty. They not like us. We at Moms Rising fight to ban fascism, not books. We fight for children's rights and not guns' rights.
We
So
don't
now
like Moms
moving
for
from
Liberty
shade to
either.
light and from petty to powerful,
We have something in
I want to
common.
share how we're making meaning of this moment. You know, it's our feminist scholars and our feminist philosophers, Em touched on this, that have the vision, that have the creativity, our feminist world builders that help us to imagine worlds we've yet to realize and also help us to make meaning of the world we're in right now. So I'm going to invoke our late great sister, the prophetic and the prolific Octavia Butler, right? So all of you out there, all that you touch, you change. Did our collective efforts result in what we intended this time? No, not in the immediate sense. But this is what I call the relay-a-thon, right? Also, it's like a multi-generational marathon plus relay race, right? We have one leg of a multi-generational fight where, thank goodness, our ancestors have built a foundation that is actually unbreakable, okay? Our opponents might crack that foundation. They might even temporarily knock us off our foundation, but they can never, ever erase the work of Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, Fred Hampton, Chokwe Lumumba, SNCC, Dorothy Height, Holly Murray, and the work of Marsha P. Johnson.
If you want to figure these people
our
out,
ancestors have.
Guys, if you want to figure these people out, I will help you. I'll give you some resources after the stream. Hopefully we're almost done. If we're not done soon, I'm just going to end it because we're all suffering now. But if you are trying to figure out these people, I will help you. This is what we do on this channel, so please stick around. I'll give you some information after. Or just sign up for my Substack, carlin.substack.com. Link is in the description below. It's free to sign up for email updates. Most of this stuff is free anyway.
Homophobia, xenophobia. We must continue to check in on ourselves and each other. We have to make sure that our words and actions intentionally deconstruct our internalized oppression and heal us, right? And please hear me. If you need help, seek it. I know a lot of us have been talking to family and community members out there. People are not okay. Pay attention to your body. We love you. We need you. We must care for ourselves. We must rest. We must recharge. And collectively, though, once we are well enough to do so, we must reactivate. And let me be clear. Activism can look like a lot of things. And not everyone's activism looks the same. Trust me, surviving a system designed to kill you is in fact
capitalism.
activism and caring for yourself. So please survive and thrive. Next is the only lasting truth is change. So just like the work of our ancestors, our work in this moment also cannot be erased. Come on, family. Our ancestors are cheering us on. I can hear them, and I hope that you can too. No election loss, no power grab, no false narratives about what happened and didn't happen will ever erase the diligence, the work, and the power that was amassed, not just this year, but over the past decade. We have forever changed the trajectory of this nation. There was a before now, and there's an after now. Our work has not been in vain, and it's permanently etched in the historical record. It is a lasting truth. Look inward and be inspired by you, all of you, on this call, all your members, all your workers. And last but not least, she said, God has changed. So no matter your faith, God is often synonymous with all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient. Well, as change makers, we don't know it all. We don't have all the answers, but we have faith, we have hope, we build power, and right now, we are disappointed, but we are undeterred, and our work is divine. So finally, whether you organize year-round on all the issues that impact our communities, or you knock doors, phone banked, and text banked this year, all I can say, the call to action is to stay in formation. The organizations on this call, when we added up all our numbers, I'm like, this is like 100 million people have been touched. Stay in formation. We have built some powerful infrastructure that we must maintain for the long haul. Join an organization that makes sense for you. Follow us at momsrising.org, share your stories, build power, and I'll just conclude with one more bar from Octavia Butler, who left us so many jewels for actually right now. Like, she left the jewels decades ago for us right here in this moment. And she said, in order to rise from its own ashes, a phoenix first must burn. Now, when you tell me to burn, I hear that you want me to be fire. And for those who know, when something is fire, it's great, powerful, excellent light. So let's not let anyone or any moment put out our light. Be clear, we are coming back for everything we lost. Watch us cook, watch us glow. Thank you, Ash, and thank you all. We are worth fighting for.
Monifa came with the gospel, with the ancestral role and prophetic wisdom, with the guidance, with the love, with the rage, with the grief, and with the direction, y'all. She reminded me, I got a phoenix right here. It says, "Have you been tried in the fire? Did you come through as pure gold?" Like, that's our mission, that's our work right now, comrades. Let's get to it. I definitely am trying to get a t-shirt with half the bars that the comrade just dropped. So y'all give it up one time for Monifa Mandeli and the Moms Rising fam. Dom Kelly, the president, CEO, and co-founder of New Disabled South, and the incredible Monica Simpson, badass reproductive justice advocate, throwing down with Trust Black Women, Sister Song, and reproductive justice advocates all over this country. We love you. Thank you for being here. We're going to keep it pushing, y'all. We're in the home stretch. I have an announcement to make, and then I'm going to introduce you to the next round of speakers. Y'all, we have 7,300 people signed up, is interested in hosting a worth fighting for community gathering. Can we get to 7,350 before the end of the night, before the end of this call? I don't know if I can do keep it, showing out? We've got tens of thousands of people that are watching, hundreds of thousands registered. We've got over 200 organizations that have co-sponsored this call. Can we make this number bigger? Folks that are interested, but not necessarily committed yet to hosting a community gathering, a We Are Worth Fighting For community gathering. If you sign up on weareworthfightingfor.org, if you go to the top.
I can't do it. I can't keep going. I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out, guys. I have nothing. I have nothing else, and I just can't. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm done. That was awful. We got a couple good clips from it. The biggest thing that I was interested in, honestly, were the numbers. I wanted to know how many people they were going to have signed up for things at the end. And I was like, maybe it's the last set of speakers, but then I was like, but maybe it's more. That was 3 hours. I didn't know that was going to be that long. That was 3 hours. So I said I was going to give you guys a quiz. Here's the quiz. What was the point of that call? What was the point of that call? There was one very specific point. I think they're connected to the same people who were organizing it. That was almost a carbon copy of White Dudes for Harris. No. 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 What was the point of that call? No. No. What was the point of the call? No. 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 They did 0 fundraising. No. No. That's not the point of the call. What was the point of the call? I told you guys to listen. No. What was the point of the call? I kept telling people to listen. No. What was the point of the call? You've already answered that. People have already answered this. No. Stop saying the same things I've already said no to. There was a very, very, very specific point of that call. There was a very specific point. No. 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 No one understands the point of the call. No one understands the 3-hour call that it doesn't matter. You should have known. Doesn't matter if you were here for the whole thing or if you were only here for part of it. No. I am shocked that no one understands. I warned you guys I was going to ask this. No. What was the point of the call? This is not hard. What kind of meetings? What kind of meetings are they organizing? No. 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 Aha! Not to protest. No, that's wrong. No. What was the point of the call? We have some people that are going in the right direction. I want to see it clearly stated. What was the point of that call? They didn't, no one said to train anyone into socialist ideas. I don't know where you're getting that. No. No. What was the point of the call? Yes. The point of the call was to get people to host meetings in their home with their friends and family and their neighbors. Another option that people could sign up for is training to teach them how to host those meetings. That was the point of that call. They organized by the time we left, and it'll probably be over 8,000 by the time they're done, if not even more. They got 8,000 people on that call to sign up to host a meeting in their home with their friends and family. They had over 100 of those meetings launched during the call. They had, what was it? Was it 600, 700, 800 people signed up for their leadership training that they're doing tomorrow. That was the point of the call. The point of the call was to create more activists. The point of the call was to get more people involved, to tap into their networks, to be able to recruit not only the people that are signing up to host the meetings, but also their friends, their family, their community. That was the point of the call. That was the only point of the call. That's why they kept coming back to the numbers over and over and over and over and over again. That was the point. What have I repeatedly told people is the most important are the most important things that you can do to fight back against the left? What have I repeatedly said to people? Every time someone comes and says, Carla, what can I do to fight back against the left? What have I been telling people? 3 specific things that all go together. When someone comes to me and says, what can I do about the left? What have I been telling people? I want all 3 things. I don't want one. I want all 3. What have I been telling people? Nope. Nope. No. I want all 3 things I've been telling people. Nope. Why does no one know this? This is when I start to feel like I'm wasting my time. I've written articles about this. I wrote about this in my book. I talked about it on my podcast today. I've been talking about it on the channel every single time someone asks me, what can I do to fight back against the left? This is not something that you guys haven't heard before. What are the 3 things that I tell you to do? Brown Barbalut got it. I tell you to learn as much as you can about the left. I tell you to learn how to explain what the left is doing simply and clearly, and I tell you to go out and to teach as many people as possible what the left is doing, starting with your friends and family. Thank you. Now people are getting it. We need to listen for what is actually going on, because as we saw today, due to the level of retardia that my chat reached today. And listen, if you're new, we're not picking on you. New people get a pass because you're new and there's a lot to learn, and we understand that. I'm going to give you some resources for that in a second. But for the people that have been here a long time, they should damn well know better. Guys, I do have expectations of people on my channel. And if you're new here, you should be aware of that. We are here to learn. We are here to research. We are here to teach others. We take this very, very, very seriously. And I know that that's a pretty unique thing on the internet, to actually take something seriously, but we do take it seriously. I kill myself trying to teach as much as I can about the left to other people. I expect that my time and my energy will be respected. Not everyone pays for this. Some people pay on my Substack $8 a month, $80 a year. Some people send in super chats. A lot of people just take advantage of the content that I'm putting out there for free, and that's fine. You're allowed to do that. But I expect that when you come here and you participate in the chat, you will respect my time and you will respect my energy. And part of the way that you can respect my time and you can respect my energy is by listening to the things that I say. I don't expect you to remember it after the first time. Once I've said it time and time and time again, because I'll let you in on a little secret, some things that I've been saying on this channel, I've literally said almost every single day for 3 years. It's not fun to have to say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm willing to do it, but I'm not willing to do it if people are not listening and they are not learning. The whole point of what I'm doing is to get people to listen to the left, the real far left, and to learn as much about them as they possibly can. Because most of you have been lied to about what the left is by conservative, feckless, fuckwad, moron, influencers, and pundits. Because most of them lie to you. I beg you guys to stop following the clickbait bullshit on Twitter. I beg you guys. I'm working on a book on that right now for this specific purpose. I'm going to give you a resource to get started with in a moment. But we need to be listening as much as we can, and listening is an active thing. When you're bullshitting in the chat, you're not listening. When you're dunking on the libs in the chat, you're not listening. When you're trying to debunk what they're doing, you're not listening. I tell you to stop doing these things for a very specific reason, because I know that when you're doing them, you're not paying attention in the way that I need you to pay attention for you to learn as much as you possibly can. Once we become fluent in their language and we can pick up on it and we can recognize it, and if you thought all this stuff tonight was word salad, you're not there yet. You need to become fluent in their language. There is no shortcut to that. It just takes time, but you do have to put in the time. It's like if you woke up and you're like, I don't speak French, I want to learn French. Guess what? There's no program I can give you where you're going to learn French in a couple hours. There's nothing. You got to take some time. And you got to do a language course, and you got to start with the easy stuff, and then you get to the harder stuff. And in this case, we're immersing you in socialism. We're immersing you in it. We're picking you up and putting you in the middle of Paris and saying, learn French. Guess what? That's a really effective way to learn a language. But when you first start, it's going to be a little bit confusing. You spend a couple months in Paris, though, you're going to speak French by the end of it. That's what we're doing. So we need you to become fluent in their language. You will know when you are fluent in their language. As part of that process, I will teach you how to explain their language to other people as easily as I possibly can. And I'm getting better at this all the time, but I will teach you how to explain it in plain English to other people. I will drill you in the chat so that you have to answer to me, so that you have to teach me what you're learning, because that's how you're going to learn how to do it, and that's how you're going to remember how to do it. And lastly, we need everyone, and I mean everyone, and I don't care if you don't want to do this, because we literally just watched a call where they recruited over 8,000 people to do this on the left in a single call. Sometimes we need to do things we don't want to do. Sometimes we need to do what is required. And we are entering into a reality where a lot of people are not going to be taking the left seriously because Trump won and Trump's going to save us. And don't worry, guys, Trump is going to save us. And we don't have to do anything, and Trump is going to save us. We are about to enter a period of monumental complacency and arrogance on the political right, and that is going to allow the left to get a giant fuck-off head start, and they're already way ahead of us. The left is already beating us. It doesn't matter if they don't control the presidency. It doesn't matter if they don't control the federal government, because they're beating us in other ways. They are beating us by owning the institutions, and institutional power is far more effective than political power every day of the week. And I know Trump and the Republicans well enough to know they're probably going to screw this up. They're probably going to spend the next 2 years infighting and bickering, and I think everyone can acknowledge that. They're going to spend the next 2 years infighting and bickering. They're not going to accomplish half the things they want to, and then all of a sudden the midterms are going to be here, and the Democrats are going to win something, because that's the way this works. So, in order to compensate with the minor audience that I do have, I need everyone to show up and learn as much as you can. I need everyone to learn how to explain it to other people. And then I need you to have conversations with your friends and family about what is going on. And when they ask you questions, you have to be prepared to answer them. And you have to be able to answer them clearly and succinctly. And you have to be able to answer the question that they're actually asking you. This is the only way this works, guys. And the reason that I know that this is the only way this works is I am following the left's playbook. There is a reason that I'm asking people to do these things. It is highly effective when the left does this. That means we can use it to organize ourselves. But people have to participate. And I don't care if none of your family believes you right now, because sometimes you have to plant a seed and sometimes people have to come around to it. Does everyone understand? Does everyone understand that this is going to be a bigger problem than people think? There is another call tomorrow where we will watch another socialist group organizing against Trump and organizing to do all this. And we're going to see a lot of those calls for the rest of the year. We're going to see a lot of those calls because they're going to get their shit together over the next 2 months. Their entire messaging strategy is changing. We're going to see mass protests yet again. It's going to be a big fuck off problem. And if people don't take this seriously, bro, you haven't even learned it yet. No offense. You haven't even learned it yet. There is a reason that I am telling you to do things in a certain order. If you've already spoken with your coworkers, God knows what you've said to them that is not based in reality at all. What you need to do is learn first. You need to learn first. And if you don't want to put in the time and energy to learn, then no amount of speaking to coworkers or friends and family is going to make any difference because you are not going to give out correct information. If you go around and you spend all the time to speak to friends and family and coworkers, but you are not giving out the correct information because you didn't take the time to sit down and learn, what have you accomplished? What have you accomplished? The goal is over here. You shot a target that was over here. The goal was over here, though. This was the goal. It wasn't over here. This wasn't the goal. And you might say, close enough. No, it's not close enough. It's literally a different fucking goal. It's literally a different fucking goal. Does everyone understand? Now, a place that people can get started is if you're brand new. Head over to my Substack, carlin.substack.com. Go to My Day with the Socialists. Or it's How to Speak Socialist now, I guess. Sorry. How to Speak Socialist. It used to be called something else. And go to the 4-hour on-demand masterclass. Now, this is not going to make you fluent. It will not make you fluent in 4 hours. Okay? That's not what this is going to do. But what this will do is give you a crash course in the language to bring you up to speed much more quickly. Because this is 4 hours of clips from some of the best socialist trainings that we've watched that cover a variety of topics. All the kind of like basic stuff that you need to know about. What does capitalism mean? Why does whiteness mean capitalism? The goal of gender ideology, the difference between trans and queer, the abolish the family stuff. It's a basics crash course, okay? You're not going to know everything when you finish it, but you're going to have a much better mise-en-scène of what's going on. That is completely free. It is available on my Substack. I know it's 4 hours long, but please take the time to watch it. All right? I'm sorry I've been cranky, but this is very, very, very difficult. This is difficult enough on its own, but it is extremely and extraordinarily difficult. When I have people coming into the chat, not taking this seriously, like completely disregarding the guidelines I've given over and over and over and over and over again, cracking jokes that aren't relevant, talking about things that aren't relevant, because none of that, I promise you, none of that is going to help you learn what is going on, learn how to explain it, and learn how to teach it. We can have fun, and that's fine. How do you define capitalism? We're now putting you on the spot. This is what we do here. How does the left define capitalism? Go. How does the left define capitalism? Go. We'll wait for your answers in the chat. No one help. How does the left define capitalism? The rule is if I put you on the spot and I ask you a question and you don't answer it in a certain period of time, you're not going to be here for very long. Oh, very good. What was private property mean? Actually, that's actually impressive. Nope, usually people don't get that. Did I say not to help him? Now I don't know that he knows it because someone else put it in the chat. What does that mean? What does private property ownership mean? What does private property ownership mean? If you know this, I'm going to be really impressed. No, I am asking him. This is not the correct answer. No one else answer. What does private property ownership mean? I'll stay here all night. What does private property ownership mean? Nope. Wrong answer. Incorrect answer. I was impressed with the first one, but I don't know that you didn't get it from someone else. That's not what that means. That's not what that means. You've still got learning to do. This is my point, guys. If you rush into explaining it to other people, but you don't know the basics, you are not going to be explaining it correctly. You are not going to be explaining it in a way that people can understand, and it's going to be all over the place. Well, do you think you're not under pressure when someone asks you to explain it to them on the spot? Do you think you wouldn't be under pressure if someday you have a TV camera in your face and they're saying, "Why are you protesting here today, sir? What is the point of all of this?" And then you give some retarded answer that ends up on the internet forever and ever and ever. Do you think you're not going to be under pressure then? I promise you, you're under a lot less pressure as an anonymous account in a fucking chat, because I don't think that's your real name and I don't think that's your real photo, which is fine, but you're not under pressure here. You'd be under pressure in the real world. And you need to know the difference. And if you think you're under pressure here, then you need to learn how to handle it here so you can handle it in the real world. I'm not trying to be mean to you, bro, but there is a reality to this. It's probably good that I have a vacation coming up starting on Saturday, because I need some time away. But before then, we have one more spy stream yet to do. And this one's going to be even more socialist than today's was. Today's was pretty progressive-y. This one is not going to be progressive. This one's going to be socialist. It's being hosted by the Party for Socialism and Liberation tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm probably going to skip the 5 p.m. stream. We'll just do this instead, because I got a bunch of stuff I need to do tomorrow. But it's going to be why the Democrats failed, how Trump won, what is to be done. This is with the presidential candidate from the Party for Socialism and Liberation. That's a socialist. I don't know this person. Breakthrough News is socialist. Palestinian Youth Movement is socialist. Party for Socialism and Liberation again. These are all socialists. They're hosted at the People's Forum. The People's Forum is kind of a mix of hippie progressives and socialists in New York City. We've covered them several times on Socialism Saturday. So we will. I'll keep this public. We're gonna try one more public live stream, spy stream. We're gonna try one more, okay? And maybe I'm going to go live a little bit earlier so I can clearly explain the ground rules for what we're doing and what will and will not be tolerated. Bro, you don't know what you think you know. So, come back here probably around 6:30. We'll do it again. And it may be the last public spy stream ever, because I am not going through the same experience again that I went through today. I'll make all of them just supporter only from now on. It will be lesser audience, and that'll be fine, because that was too much retardia for me. And when I'm also dealing with the left at the same time, I can only take so much. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate everyone who came out. I really appreciate everyone who sent in some super chats today, whether they be on YouTube or Rumble. And I will be back here tomorrow around 6:30 p.m. And that is when we will do that. And maybe I'll go get some beer and we will make it a happy hour spy stream extravaganza. Hope everyone has a good rest of your night. And I will see you soon. I just need to fix this. There we go. All right, guys.
How are you? long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.